23. Hello guys, welcome to my video this week where I get to talk about health and fitness for you and for me and everyone out there in this pandemic situation all across the world. And I want you to share this video to as many people as possible. Today's video, I'm going to tackle just how you start your workout from home. You are in a lockdown situation, confined in a place. Of course, not necessarily as lit as mine like this, because I got a little bit of a studio here and I'm trying to work out a few things. I mean, I do a lot of stuff from here. Yeah, but it's a confined environment that you can start your workout. And I want to share with you a number of things that you can do when you're in lockdown and to be able to look after your health and fitness really quite well. Now, without any further ado, today's video, I want to focus more on number one, how do I do the workout from home? For example, we're going to just do everything about jumping jacks and jumping jacks exercise, using your body posture and using your body weight to actually really work out. But more so, I'm going to be focusing on what we call cardiorespiratory capacity. So, the cardiorespiratory capacity is really the ability of our body to take in oxygen, which is respiration, use that oxygen at the cell levels, which is circulation of oxygen to the rest of the skin walls or body walls or to the rest of the body. And that oxygen and the circulation is used at the cellular level, which is the conversion of food to energy, what scientifically we call bioenergetics, right? And the bioenergetics, when you go deep down in it, is going to be something that we will refer to as glycogen levels, okay, energy levels. Now, the virus affects you in so many ways, okay? And the virus we're talking about, just like most viruses that come, affects a person from the lungs. And this particular one is affecting our really red blood cells, capacity of oxygen flow, distribution and stuff like that. And as well as, the fluid path in the body, okay? What we say that if your body breaks down the fluid, of course, if the electrolytes in the body is not functioning very well, then the electrons that a body are wired with a lot of electricity, so signals are not moving, so somehow fluids are going to break down and you don't know what's going to go, and before you know it, we're in like a situation called mucus and all this other stuff. But this video is really to help you build that capacity from the confinement of your sitting room or your living room or your, one bedroom apartment. And so I start this video by just warming up. Start with jumping jacks. I have a bit of space. I'm going to do this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I have done 50 jumping jacks. While I do jumping jacks, I begin to develop, you hear me running out of breath in the process of doing that, right? And you can feel like I'm now beginning to pant along the way and feel like I'm running out of breath. That's a normal way because my body is trying to take in oxygen, right? And I have to breathe in the process of that. At the same time, it has to distribute that oxygen to the rest of the body. So some people will be breathing like that, right? Now, I'm just helping you build that capacity, right? So that's the first set. Now, to build that capacity, using just jumping jacks, you can do this from home, guys, and you can begin to build your capacity. Assuming tomorrow there's no movement because coronavirus, everybody's saying stay inside. Some people are going to run mad, and these are some of the things that you can do for yourself and to build that capacity. Okay, so I'm trying to increase the capacity of my lungs, okay? The capacity of my chest to my lungs, first of all, to take in a lot of oxygen, all right? And do a physical exercise. There is no better way for us to do this to be able to survive from coronavirus. Short of this, we're going to go down very quickly, down the path very quickly. All right, so you're going to do this 3 sets. So that was the first set. We're going to do the second set, okay? Jumping jacks all the way up to 50. Simple. You can start with 25, 3 sets, okay? 25, counting 1, 2, 3 to 25 while you do it. That's 1 set. Counting 1, 2, 3, again 25, 2 sets. 1, 2, 3 up to 25, 3 sets. Take a bit, okay? In between, have a moment, just, gather some breath, a little bit, recover, and then go back again. So we're going to do this, all right? Second set. Ready to go? Jumping jacks is the focus of the workout today. And again, I'm just helping you build the capacity of your lung. While we do jumping jacks, you notice that my muscles are moving, okay? So my shoulders are moving, right? Because I do this to allow the capacity. The lat muscles, these muscles here are moving. They're expanding and contracting, expanding, contracting, right? Now, when they expand and contract, I'm helping my muscles to build capacity. Right? So the more I give it like this, the more space is going to be in my veins for my body to continue taking oxygen and the flow, flow of blood to the rest of the body, making it much easier for circulation and respiration to happen normally, okay? While I do that, I build what we call, increase my metabolism so that the rate at which the food is going to burn from my body is also faster. But the one most important thing that we need to do is that our body develops new cells every single time we do exercise. Right, guys? So let's go back to the second set, and then I'll come back and explain the third set. Ready? 1, 2, 3, we go. The reason why we're counting 1, 2, 3, we go is because mentally you need to prepare yourself for what you're going to do. Okay? So mentally you prepare it, physically you activate. You get it? So 3, 2, 1, we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. All right, that's a 2 sets. As you can hear, I'm breathing hard, and you can hear that I'm breathing hard. Again, we're just a warm up, but he's going to help us build a lot more capacity in the chest. You're going to start feeling like your chest is having some weight, or there's something going on, right? There's a burn, you're running out of oxygen. Sometimes you're going to feel some bit of headache, all right? Headache, coming. And so that headache, when it starts to come, you begin to feel like it's just a normal process. Your body is trying to adjust to, taking in oxygen, circulation of that to the rest of the body. There's a normal process of you building oxygen flow, all right? Ready? So we've done the second one, all right? Now, we're going to go back to the third set. The third set is where the real workout is, all right? Is where the real workout is. The real workout has never been on the first set. It's always on the third set. Third set is preparation. And you can do this up to the 10th set. Ready? Let's go. 3, 2, 1, we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. That's 150 times I've been doing jumping jacks. Now, how many of us are able to do jumping jacks up to 50 or 150? That's the number of times I have exercised my heart muscles, okay? All right? That's the number of times I've worked my shoulders, okay? That's the number of times I've created space. That's the number of times I am expanding and contracting, all right? That's just one set of the workout. one type of the workout just using that called the jumping jacks. So you can start from the jumping jacks position and do up to 10 sets. So I've done that. Again, you can do this from home, and you can make sure that your workout is effectively done from home if you're concentrating. So you must concentrate during the workout. All right, guys? So I'm gonna take you to the last set of the jumping jacks, all right? And then that will be a wrap for today. I know this video shouldn't be long. Share your comments, your kisses, and your disses. I want you to subscribe to my channel and actually make sure that you share this video as far as possible, as wide, because we're in a corona situation. Coronavirus affects the lungs of a person, and so we really need to build our capacity now than ever before. Now, if you have been doing this and you get to corona and you get attacked by coronavirus or you contract a disease, you need to get back to working out. It is worse when you're not doing any physical work exercise at all. You get it? All right, let's go, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 50. All right, it's a wrap for today, and I want to say thank you very much for joining in. Look out for my next video coming next, when I focus on a different part of the body, but just showing you what you can do home, what you can do in the comfort of your sitting room going forward, and how you can actually navigate the disease called coronavirus and stay focused. Please remember, no one can ever make money when they're sick, and neither can you wake up in the morning to enjoy your money when you're sick. Nor can your money save you when you're sick. But there's one thing you can do. One thing you can do is to always be fit so that you can enjoy your money. All right, guys? Again, I leave it with this. I always say this. There are two combinations you cannot have in life. Two combinations that you shouldn't have in life. Two combinations you should never have in life. One, you cannot be unfit and broke. You cannot be unfit and broke. You cannot be unfit and poor. God will reject you. You get it? Thank you very much. Until the next video, share it far and wide, and reach out to me. My Twitter handle is @AdioKiller. Please reach out to me, write to me. Please reach out to me. My Twitter handle is @IamAdioKiller. @IamAdioKiller. Write to me and tell me your story and how you're doing. And you can reach out to me on my Twitter. Just go to my Twitter. My Twitter handle is my Twitter handle. Please follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Of course, my Twitter handle is @IamAdioKiller is my Twitter handle. Please follow me on that one. And of course, on Facebook, go to Okilla Fitness and be a part of that family growing big and better. Okilla Fitness is the page, of course, on Facebook. And of course, on YouTube, go and subscribe to my channel, which is Okilla Fitness. And I will be sharing a lot more information there. Until next time, stay blessed and stay focused to your health and fitness. Welcome to the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela. It's yet another Tuesday where we get to bring you the best guest on the CEO Bench. The CEO Bench exists to bring you people who are already to the top or people who are on their way to the top. If they're already on the top, what is it like? Do they have an experience to share with us? Are you struggling to get to the top? Do you want to be a CEO? Do you understand what it takes to get there? Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, is the one and only, the man on the journey. He's been moving and still moving. Tony Otoa, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We are bongaling.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
You're looking sharp.
As always, I try to be sharp.
It looks like this thing of the CEO is beginning to rub on quite well.
No, it's just the whole attitude of excellence. You have to try and seem excellent.
Yes.
You have to look excellent. So, yes.
True. I totally agree with you. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I just want to, first of all, take this moment to welcome you to the show and to say the CEO Bench is an interesting place to be in.
Sure.
Sometimes it gets hot, but
Sure.
we have the AC in here. Just so that if it comes hard, you say increase the AC so we can sweat a little bit or take away the sweat a little bit.
Okay.
But welcome to the show. And I want to start from a very personal note of knowing you. First
Sure.
of all, who is the comrade Tony Otoa, and what's your story? Where do you come from? Who are you? What are you?
I know it's a CEO bench, so usually people want to assume that all CEOs are over-learned and stuff like that. So I will change the script this time around. I consider myself a certified hustler. I am a certified hustler. If I told you 15 years ago I was working in a kitchen, running dishes, washing dishes, and flipping burgers, and all of these things, you wouldn't believe that. Yeah. But also, I started off as a town boy on a truck, and I think it was something that really created a lot of value in terms of understanding the country because of the travels that we were doing. And then, of course, I worked in a kitchen, out of this country, washing dishes and flipping burgers and all of these things, and then decided to go back to school. I was a journalist as well prior to that, and then of course went back to school and decided to study law and international relations for my undergrad and masters. Interestingly, I've never used that on any single day. So then of course I get into a consultancy business, doing a lot of consultancy around the oil and gas sector and supporting a lot of businesses that want to come into Uganda, a lot of country risk analysis for the businesses, and then that's how I get sucked into a Total exploration and production, where I start off as a public affairs manager and then eventually take on another role of national content manager, so 2 roles. And I leave that again at a certain point in 2018, and that's how I get also called into Stanbic. So I am currently at Stanbic, where I started off as head of enterprise development, and now the CEO of one of the Stanbic holding subsidiaries, which is the Stanbic Business Incubator Limited.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Tony, what a journey right there. And I want to take you back to that one more personal question about Tony Otoa. If I'm looking to know who you are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you as Ugandan?
That's the easiest question, I think, to answer. I am a typical Lao man from Erute North, in a place called Ogur, and where I will be laid to rest is in a village called Agweng. So if you go there and you just say Otoa Tony, they won't really know me because my father is also Otoa Tony. You have to ask for Junior, and when you're asking, you have to ask with an accent. Junior Tikwene, where is Junior? And they will identify me. But I'm typically Ugandan, only Ugandan, from Lira. I pride myself from being from Lira. Earlier on, I was joking and saying I'm the coolest Lango south of Karuma. When you cross Karuma, there are so many. But when you're down in the south after Karuma, I think I'm number 1.
Wow. Well, now that you know Tony Otoa is Ugandan, and of course, what are the values that define you as a Ugandan?
I think it's the love for country, love for nation. Truth be told, the country is in it's a crisis. Leadership crisis, economic crisis, social crisis. There's so many mismatching areas. But at the end of the day, it's home. You cannot run and abandon your home because of the issues in your home. I think that then creates an opportunity for you to do something to change what's happening and what you see as a crisis. So in terms of what I see as a value, or what I take out of that for me, I think is just the love for country, the need to serve country the best way I can. And I mean, I can't say I can change everything, but the little I can do to create a difference, I think is more meaningful.
Wow. Yeah. Mr. Tony Otoa, growing up, what did you want to be in life? And what was the journey like for Mr. Otoa?
Yeah, you know, my father is crazy. My father would call us and he would show me the compass. The idea was supposed to be a pilot. You know, the planes would fly over our house and my father would be like, yeah, you're going to be a pilot. Yeah. But of course, as you grow, you realize that you have so many things that really define you. I was never a sportsman. So I enjoyed a lot of debate and, you know, a lot of indoor activities. And that is, I think, what really drove me into some of the things that I do up to today. Public speaking, the love for debates and really a lot of intellectual discourse and all this stuff. But besides that, I think it's also the fact that, I won't lie, I didn't know what I wanted to be.
As a child?
As a child, I never really knew what I wanted to be. I think apart from being a pilot that my father was really instilling in me, it wasn't really a clear-cut path of this is who I want to be. And that was a journey that kept on happening all the time until recently, I'll be honest with you.
Wow.
And you see, I always consider life to be a journey. If anyone tells you that they know what they were when they were 5 years old and that's who they are right now, you need to question them more, because you see, life is a journey and the process is what defines us and what kind of creates who we become. And you know, through going through the life journeys, the lessons, the trials, the success points, those define our paths. And I think, in all honesty, I will want to be vulnerable and say I am still defining my path the best way I can.
So would you say definitively that this is the point I realize this is who I want to be and what I want to be in life? At what point?
I wouldn't say I even still know what, I mean, I wouldn't say I definitely know what I really, really, really want to be.
Yeah.
I'm still growing. And every day is a new understanding of myself. Yeah. I always say that when you reach that point of arrivism, thinking you know who you are, you have reached who the best you are, that is the point that you start dying. Life is a simultaneous journey of learning and learning and learning yourself, growing yourself, building yourself. That for me is a continuous journey. So I always say the Otoa of yesterday, no, the Otoa of today should be better than the Otoa of yesterday. So by doing that, that means that today I have to learn more. So it's wisdom upon wisdom upon wisdom. And the more wiser I become by the day, the better and more clarity I get for my life's purpose.
Wow. Well, you are live on the CEO Bench, live on Facebook, on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Go to our studios, subscribe, and be part of the CEO Bench family growing bigger and better. We want to dive into a more serious question with Mr. Otoa right here in the studio. But first, I want to bring you straight to the next question that Mr. Otoa is going to take in our interview today. Mr. Otoa is the Chief Executive Officer of Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, a new section of Stanbic Bank, a new section of Standard Group, I think, and of course here in Uganda dealing with business. And he's on the CEO Bench as a man who scored with 25 votes from you guys who watch the show. He received 15 votes from the Ugandan diaspora, saying we don't quite believe that we can invest at home, because and many of them said they have sent money home and they have come and did not find a roof or a foundation dug or anything, but have sent money. So they have a very negative sort of like thoughts about business that can exist in Uganda from when you send money from abroad to your people at home. So they say, I don't think I can invest in Uganda. I don't think home is best for my investment because I'm always cheated. But here we are with Mr. Tony Otoa at Stanbic Bank. The stuff you're doing there, receive a lot of voting from there and a lot of work as a leader. This program is quite very important. We look at the people who are going to the top as well as people who are already at the top. And our focus is on transformational change. We want to look at the implications for those individuals and what they do, as well as their individual leadership abilities and capabilities. How are they carrying themselves? What are they doing? How have they arrived in that space? But of course, we're looking at that to be able to help people out there who are following the show to look at the organizational culture. If you're already there as a leader, as a CEO, what is the culture in that place? And as well as the structures that you put in place, that if you leave tomorrow, we can be able to measure your impact based on that. And we often looked at quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics of a leader when a leader leaves that place. Can we quantify it? Is it there? What are the metrics that you left in place? And so this program combined that intellectual rigor together with a personal challenge with a lot of collaborative, creative expressions along the way. These are some of the things that the CEOs like you people do where you've reached. And I want to take you to the leadership question, which is very simple. On leadership, first of all, what is leadership by your understanding and by your own definition, Mr. Toa?
You know, from the build-up that you just gave, there's a lot in but I'll just dive. I wanted to break it down, but let me just dive into your question. You know,
and it's okay for you to break it down as well.
Yeah, because you know you've talked about crisis, transformational leadership, and all of these things. But let me just go into leadership as a starting point. Everything begins and ends with leadership. I don't know if you know.
True.
Leaders are people who are needed in good times and bad times. Leaders are people who create good times in bad times. Leaders are people who steer society, organizations, people in bad times and good times. But what's really also key for you to really put into perspective and understand, Eddie, is leaders arise or rise during times of crisis. And again, now that's now going back to trying to unpack your very big catalog. You see, if you think about, let's just go to the Bible as a point of reference and think about how many leaders came out of the Bible in times of crisis. From Solomon to David to Daniel, you know, in the lion's den, to Joseph, they never came out in good times. They came out in times of crisis when they were needed. Like so Moses and all these guys. Scratch the Bible. Let's just look at society today. Most revolutionaries or leaders who have transformed society have come in to take care of the issues of the time, the crisis of the time. Now, average people run away during times of crisis. They go and hide. Right now, we're facing a global pandemic. It's a crisis. How many businesses are making it today in the crisis? There are some businesses that are making it today, but it's because of identifying the leadership opportunities in that. So in times of crisis, a lot of people run away. Some people really stay. In terms of transformational leadership, that is now where you start asking the bigger questions of what does it take to move a company from this point to that point? What are some of the critical decisions that you as a leader, decisions you have to make sure that your business stays afloat, your community stays afloat, your society stays organized in such a time? And a lot of the time, these decisions are not the best decisions. We're going to probably go into another lockdown. And this one might be even a crazier lockdown considering the number of cases that we have when it comes to COVID. And the president, as a leader, is stuck with the question of the economy is starting to get back after the first bout. Should I let it go? Should I? But he has. Everyone is looking up to him. You understand? 40 plus million people are looking up to that one individual. Now, that is where leadership really comes out. So you can either choose to run away or stay in. Now just go back to excellence, and that's where now leadership and excellence comes into play. Because you see, excellent organizations, excellent people, excellent societies, excellent individuals always have leadership at the core. Excellent leaders or excellent people provide solutions. Average people find problems or see problems. And when you talk about transformational leadership, it's really leadership of changing mindsets, changing communities, changing attitudes, changing paradigms, changing the way we do and see things. And it all starts with the vision of the leader, which begins, of course, in here, and then manifests through here and then through the actions. When your followers or your people start seeing that, they resonate, because now you are displaying an attitude of conviction. Conviction is what people will see and get attracted to you, because you start inspiring them. A leader in a situation like we're facing today is one who sees what's happening and says, we have to do something about it. And however much you sway him with money or all of these things, he is stuck on the pursuit to make a difference by changing that. People see that. Let me just give a simple example of that conviction. You remember what we used to, we used to study a lot of funny things in school. Prairies, Saskatchewan, Alberta, St. Lawrence Seaway. But do you remember studying about Alexander the Great?
Yes.
The man who conquered almost half of the world.
Oh, yes.
The man who named cities after his horse, after his name.
The man believed to have translated the book called the Bible from Greek to the language we have today.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
He died at around the age of, he wasn't about 40, but he was just about there.
Very young.
Died while on his pursuit of all this glory in India. Do you talk about him a lot today?
Not very much.
I will give you context. Let me put in now Jesus. Jesus died at the age of 33. He was very despised at the time. In fact, when he was crucifying, it was a whole event. He had very few followers. 2,000 years today. Do you talk about Jesus more, or you talk about Alexander the Great?
Obviously, Jesus
has
never been by anyone.
You know why? His vision, his conviction, his inspiration and attitude, and all of that managed to motivate and inspire people to follow him. And I also end this by saying, leadership is not about creating buildings and creating all these earthly things. Leadership is about people. If you want to build the craziest foundation in an organization, in anything you do, people should be number one. Because people are what extend your legacy. You talked about when you leave office or whatever, how do people remember you? People will never remember you for building a building. That building, if an earthquake happened, will go down into rubble. But people will transfer that legacy and say, there was this man, there was this leader who moved us from here to there. That is leadership. Abraham Lincoln, all these great people in America that we keep talking about, they never built buildings or anything, but they worked people. So leadership is about people.
Wow. Mr. Tony Toa is definitely on fire. And if you have a question, please drop it there. Kisses and disses are all welcome. Tony Toa, before I lose the train of thought, of course, so are you a leader? And what kind of a leader are you?
Everyone is a leader. A sweeper is a leader in their gifting. You're a leader in your gifting. I'm a leader in my gifting. Leadership is not about people. It's not about having followers. Leadership is about pursuing the best in your gifting to lead, to champion, to be the best. A sweeper. The fact that they haven't actually come, but they are really good at their sweeping, you will notice they're not around. And you will never be as good as them because they are leaders in that. A lawyer. There's so many. But what you're an athlete. What creates an elite athlete, or what separates an elite athlete from the others?
Discipline and commitment, and a lot of personal commitment to what you said.
And that is where leadership starts. Usain Bolt is a leader in his field. You know, I hear people talk about all these basketballers and whatever. They're leaders in their field, but it's because also of the time and discipline they put in managing that craft.
Mr. Toa, we're going to take one more question before we go for a break. And that question would be, anyone can steer the ship, but it will always take a leader to chart the course. When MV Templar crashed in Lake Victoria, a story is told of how the captain said, I can't do this anymore, balance the boat. And the owner of the boat, may his soul rest in peace, said, no, this is the biggest catch we have. I can't allow this to happen. And the wife said, the captain is just being jealous because we've had the biggest catch today. Let me go in there and steer the ship. And indeed he was in, and he piloted, and the thing crashed. So the learning from there is that anyone can steer the ship, but it will take a leader to chart the course. That said, Mr. Otoa, what is your understanding of leadership at the personal level, family level, society, corporation, and the national level? Briefly.
I think leadership is really it's a compass. It's what defines what we do, how we do, and why we do what we do. You see, it's like a ship. You just talked about a ship. A ship without a compass in an ocean or in a lake will go anywhere. It has no sense of direction, no timing of where it's going and when it will get there or whatever. Leadership begins as a personal thing. The reason why we have a society that is getting messed up with so many things happening and we're seeing corruption happening is because leadership is failing from a personal level. You are corrupt as an individual and you pride in it because you're gaining more. You go home, your children are seeing that and thinking that is the way of life. Community and society is saying, this guy is a good guy, he's a rich guy, he's the man of society. And society is now beginning to agree to that being a norm. That's not where the problem starts. So let's just go back to your question. Leadership begins from your personal compass, your true north. Why are you on earth? What's your purpose? When you walk out of here, how do you impact on people? Or how do you want people to remember you? You know, nowadays people are dying, and all people can say is, you know, we had a good time with that guy. But beyond that, what next? And then you find the same people coming to bury you. Then after that, they even actually have a drink up after that, and life goes on. You'll never be remembered. But just think about this, and let me just give you a simple example of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was a 4-foot lady, very short lady. She was a teacher. You know, people think teachers have no impact. She was a teacher. On her way to school to teach, she was so disturbed by the number of young children who were hungry on the streets, having no sense of direction. One day, she just woke up, went to the principal and said, you know what? Kalas, I'm done. I am going to feed the children of the world. The principal laughed. He said, you small woman, first of all, what money do you have? You think feeding the world is? But when you think of Mother Teresa today, what do you think of? The woman who tried to feed the world. Her mission still exists way beyond her. Going back to the same principle of people. People and purpose. And you see, purpose cannot be from outside or without. You know, you don't tell me that this is your purpose, Otoa. No, it comes from within. And you know, leaders are very crazy people. Yeah? You know, it's the same Museveni who read a newspaper and he got pissed off and went and, you know, on the streets and went and joined the bush. Yeah. They talk about people like Fidel Castro and all these people who... Leaders are people who just get angry with what is happening and make a commitment to make a difference. Mother Teresa did that. Martin Luther King did that. Think about any leader who is prominent in society, the likes of Malcolm X and whatever. You forego your comfort zone to make a difference. And you know what's so interesting? Some of these guys even forewent their families. Look at Mandela. Fighting a cause with children who are as young as, I don't know. Just to say, I am committed to this journey, which I know if I do the bit I can do, it will create a difference for my society. That is leadership. That is where you start from. And that is where you start creating impactful change.
Wow. Well, it is said that he who doesn't understand the direction of leadership is just taking a long walk in the park by himself. And if you don't have people, then you do not know where you're going. But leadership at the personal level is very key. And you can see the passion with which Mr. Otoa is speaking. Definitely, it's coming from far. It springs from far. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, the CEO Bench will dive into the next step of Mr. Otoa's journey. Change management from Total EP to being a journalist at New Vision at some time, or Monitor, and to being a kitchen man, to being a, a town boy running around the country, and to saying, hey, let me show up in Harvard and try and do something, and then coming back as a lawyer as well as a man with an understanding of oil and gas. What a journey. How do you transform yourself? How do you move from that area? We'll be right back after the break. This is the CEO Bench.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SEAL Uganda on number 0772443085, or check our website www.sealuganda.com, or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
Welcome back. This is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela, and in the studio is the CEO of Stanbic Bank or Stanbic Business Incubator Limited. We're still struggling to get out of that new
yes.
that there's a divorce.
Not a divorce.
I don't know that it's a divorce. It's
it is an expansion. You know, when your family gets, when your children start getting bigger, you also allow them to go start up their families. So it is an expansion.
Yes. All right, but welcome back to the show, Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom, before we went for a break, we were tackling the question of leadership, and I want to take you to the next question of course, change management, and then I will bring you back to what are some of the things that excite you as a CEO. First of all, what is it like being a CEO now that you are on top?
I think it's everyone has their own journey. I'll speak about mine. Mine is it's a very interesting learning curve, one that is all about continuous learning. You get to learn that things are done differently, but also you also get to learn that people are different in many ways. But the beauty about that as well is that you get to appreciate the diversity and try and work with that to make things happen in your area. But for me, I think it's a very interesting journey. And the reason I'm calling it a journey is because it's still a process. It's always, like I said, suicide for you to say you have arrived and assume you are the pinnacle. Leadership or such situations are all about growing and learning and making yourself better. So I think for me, it's a very interesting one. Something that I keep, every day is a learning day. Every day I learn something new. Every day I meet different people, new ideas, and it provokes my mind to also go back and challenge myself. But it also gives me an opportunity to want to be better if I have to serve better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I want to serve better, if I want to be meaningful, if I want to create value for my organization, my people, I have to better myself first. So it's kind of like a teacup. A cup rather. If it's half empty, you can't give so many other people a sip. But if it's very full and it's overflowing, you can give as many people to sip. So my job is to make sure that this cup is full of value as much as it can. And I think for me in my journey, this is what I strive for every day. It's a very interesting learning curve.
Wow. Mr. Toa, change is not easy, and many people struggle with change.
Yeah.
Many people don't know how to manage it. In fact, we have seen situations where people don't want to leave because they don't know how to deal with where they have come from when they decide to go back. And you have been a man on the journey. The CEO bench pretty much focused on the change management and how it is done. And I want to just give you a perspective here, which is the response to external influences always causes the person to move. Where modifying day-to-day actions to achieve desired, results causes the person to move or other people to come in. And transformation is about identifying or modifying the core beliefs as well as the long-term, behaviors of that person. Those are totally two different things. But sometimes in profound ways to achieve desired results. Your journey has been one hell of a journey, to say the least. You've been to too many places. How would you say you've been able to manage the change? Others don't find it very easy. Why are you not stuck?
There are only two things in the world that are constant rather. Two things in the world are time and change. I'll repeat that. The only two things in the world that are constant are time and change. And because they're a constant, we do not have so much control of them. I can't stop the time. I wish I could. I am an older guy than the guy who came into the studio 30 minutes ago. I can't stop time. I can't stop change. But what I can do is control them. And how do you do that? By planning. Can I repeat that?
Please do.
Time and change are the two constants that you can never do away with.
In fact, I want you to repeat it a third time looking direct into the camera because some guy might be confused.
All right. So there are two things that I know for sure you can't do anything about. And that is time and change. And the reason why you can't do much about them is because they are constants. So the only way you can actually deal with them is managing them. And how you can manage them is by planning. And that's why planning becomes a very essential thing in our lives. I was speaking with my mentor yesterday, Agase Kalala, who was telling me in business planning for his market, he has to plan 18 months ahead. So what you are eating today was actually planned 18 months before. How many of us think that way? How many of us plan for the next month, the next week, the next situation? We're in a crisis. But how many of us have been planning on saving? We're in a crisis. How many of us have been planning or putting aside something in a granary? You know, it's very interesting how our forefathers were very interested in planning and saving. We had granaries. There was hardly famine in our time. The only famine that came in was a result of climate. But where seasons were great, we had granaries around houses. In Lango, a typical Lango traditional house had to have about, 3 other small huts, for the other women. And each hut had 2 or 3 granaries. Why is it that today, in 2021, we have situations where people are going hungry? It's planning. It's planning. Because I cannot control the weather. I can try now with irrigation, but I can't control the weather. So it's really about planning. And I think as individuals, as businesses, as entities, it's important to always forecast. The word forecast is also very interesting. Forecast, to plan ahead. You remember those days on UBC, they would give us weather forecast and say tomorrow is going to rain, and you walk and you think, it's important.
Yes.
So all of these things are very important, even in leadership or in terms of planning for change. In my organization, we never thought COVID was going to happen. We never. Last year, we never. Then COVID happened. We were training businesses in classroom settings. We had to transform that. Meaning we pivoted. We had to change quickly with the times. But on top of changing quickly with the times, we say now planning ahead for if this happens again, what do we do? So when now people are talking of a possible lockdown, we've already gone back to online mode. And you know what? We're killing it. You know why? Because we planned. We invested in systems and technology that can make sure that our services are provided simultaneously and seamlessly. It's planning. Because guys, change will never stop. I can't stop my hair from growing gray. I mean, I can go and buy a Kanta. But the ladies might not like it. Maybe they like, maybe buy it like this, Yes. But you see, it's important for us to understand that it's crucial for us to plan. And if you want to manage change or change management, it's important to plan. If I want to be better than the Ottawa today, I start planning. And if I'm to plan to be the better Ottawa than I was today, what do? I will read more. I will invest more in what I am spending my time on. I will invest more on the kind of friendships and networks I'm creating, because that is part of the process of planning. And that's why you see organizations will always have a strategic plan. What is your strategic plan? And it's not just a 1-month plan, it's a 5-year, 10-year plan. Someone says, I am investing for the 20 years of this business's growth. Planning. And that is how you manage change. So change is going to be a constant, and we can sit back, lament, and wait for things to happen in a good way. Or we can actually say, how about we transform our businesses, ourselves, personally, our communities, societies, to start getting ready for this eventuality which could possibly happen. So planning.
Wow, Mr. Toa. So the change from being a town boy to the kitchen man to, a journalist to Total, and now to where you are.
Yes.
If you were to take us through, if I'm stuck in my job and I'm watching you from my desk, and I don't know exactly what to do. Many people are stuck in that place. What would you say to them? What is your understanding of change and how it is managed from a personal point of view?
I'll be very honest with you. Mine was a crazy learning curve, and I will speak about my story. I became very religious at some point. I was in fact part of the choir in church and all of that, and again also a camera guy in church and all of that. But I'll be honest with you. The mind, and if you saw my tweet today, the mind is a very powerful thing. You can choose to make a difference based on how you choose to control your mind. I always say you can change how you look, you can change how you or where you stay, you can change your clothes, you can change your friends. But Eddie, as long as your mind or your mindset is stuck, all of that is just, it's outside, it's a facade. You're going to still come back to the same point. So you need to understand that it's important for you to learn how to dominate and control your mind and move it into the positive vibes that will move you from point A to point B. When I was working in a kitchen in Croydon, my biggest admiration? To have a job where I wore a suit and a tie. You won't believe, that was my admiration. In Croydon, in the UK, I was illegal. I knew the difference between a police siren and an ambulance. Like I knew when to run and when to chill. You understand?
Yes.
But my desire, because I dropped out of school, was to one day have a job. Today, I despise a suit and a tie. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be wearing every day. I despise a suit and a tie. If you know me, Eddie, and you know me very well,
yes.
I am in my khakis most of the time, Monday to Friday khakis and mismatched suits and all that stuff. That is me. But I'll be honest with you, it just begins with your mindset, where you say, is this the best I can do for myself? Or is this the best I can serve the world? Because I always believe that it's about you, in the sense that you say, I have this gift. We all have gifts, by the way. And it's just about discovering what these gifts are. We all have gifts. And saying, how do I serve this gift to the world? To be able to get noticed, number one, but also to feel like I'm pursuing my life's purpose and goal. A musician with a gift of music can choose to just sing in their home and no one will know. But they can also choose to sing, go and look for a record company, record that beautiful gift, and then what we call multiplication, create multiple avenues for that gift to go out to the world. And if possible, push it out as much as you can. By doing that, you're adding value to yourself because people are getting to know you. And you know, an interesting thing about money, money is attracted to value. There's a reason why a diamond is priced at this amount, or water, or fuel, or it's value. And who creates that value? Who says these things are supposed to be like that? We do. So when you say, this is who I am, this is my gift, this is what I want to share with the world, that is how you are. Michael Jackson, it was his gift. And that gift made him very valuable. Quincy Jones, the gift. And it made him valuable. Now, people come to him as a consultant. You know what a consultant is? A consultant, by the way, is not a worker. He's a guy who just comes and tells you what to do.
Yeah, to do.
And then you do
Things
it. He doesn't do it.
How to do it, yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Do you know how much a consultant gets paid? Like some of these guys who come into Uganda today.
Well, I get paid $50 per hour.
You get $50 per hour?
Sometimes $100 per hour.
Some consultants get paid $5,000 per hour, my
yes.
brother. So what you will earn in a year, a consultant will earn in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And he will fly back to his country. You know why? He has mastered his gift. He has refined his gift. He has added value to that and become a valuable item that people will just call him to speak for 1 hour and they pay him. Are we doing that as individuals? Are we lamenting? Are we going to jobs that we don't really like every day and just assume that that is who we are and that is where we are?
I just want to pay rent for my
I just
child.
want to pay rent for my
I just
child.
want to pay school fees for my
How
children.
long
yes.
will you be paying rent? And remember that as we grow,
Yeah.
these bills also increase.
Yeah.
And also remember that everything becomes more expensive as we grow as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's important for us to reflect and say, we want to create value in ourselves, for our community, and serve ourselves to the world. By doing that, trust me, value comes.
Mr. Toa, change is not an easy thing.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people struggle with it. I have the former executive director of KCCA seated where you're seated there, Andrew Chitaka, and we're asking the same question. And he says, it was not an easy journey for me to transition from City Hall after 9 years to now being a man back on the street to do my own stuff. But I think I fully understood that I needed to move, because if I don't move, it will find me. Mr. Toa, that said, on the CEO bench, we want to know today, was there a time in your journey of change management before you arrived at Stanbic Bank and later on to the Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, that you were scared of making one step? And how did you come out of it?
Absolutely. I'll be honest with you. Every single day, there's so many things that scare me. Like any human being.
Yeah.
But I always say that every single day, do one or two things that really scare you. You know, the more you do them, they stop being scary. Yeah. Fear is here. The uncertainty. You know, Eddie, if I told you that, okay, let me just give you a simple example. Remember when COVID had just started?
Yeah.
the anxiety and the fear. You don't even want to even touch anything or even look at a guy because you're scared of COVID.
Yes.
But you see, we have learned to live with it for 1 year. We have learned remedies along the year. We have also learned that it's important to vaccinate, to be able to survive, and so on and so forth. But more importantly is to understand that fear is the only thing that can stop you from either being great or being amazing. And you know the problem with fear a lot of the time is because of outside perceptions of people, of what people will think. Oh, if I leave this CEO job, and I'm on the street, people will say, you know, you understand the attitude?
Yes.
But you see, when you have created, like, back again to the idea of value, a job doesn't bother you because you know the moment you leave that, someone will be coming to snatch you off the street.
That is change
But you
management.
begin with creating value for yourself, to yourself.
Wow. Well, we're on the CEO bench, and this is Mr. Toa, is the CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, the man who arrived on the top recently. And as you can see, he's headed to greater things from that experience. Mr. Toa, change management. The principle is always to apply when moving out. Are there any principles that you have applied while moving out from one place to the next? And how do you communicate that as well as, you know, manage where you are going? Most people leave the job because a new person has come and they are no longer able to do what they used to do before and they need to get out. Or some people say, I've outgrown this place and I have to move and I'm going somewhere. So have you always communicated this? If yes, how do you communicate
I'll be
it?
very honest with you. The biggest mistake any human being can make is burning bridges. Always leave your workplace in a state where people don't want you to leave. That if you left, they're like, oh my God, we need to have this guy back. You don't want to leave a place and say, I'm handing in my resignation. The guy says, oh, Tumuwonye. Thank God. You understand?
Yeah.
But again, that just comes back into the issue of value. How much value? Because see, when you create value to yourself, your company feels it because you're also creating value for the company.
Yes.
You get it?
Yeah.
If I'm a camera guy and I'm learning more techniques on how to film, for instance,
Yeah.
and then I tell Eddie I'm leaving today, you will want me to stay. You want, I'll be different from a guy who you call and I come in, you know, not sober, and I'm trying to do my job and I can't actually do it well, because that's the kind of person you want to go. All of my apologies for that. All of my jobs that I have done before, I'll be honest with you, I'm working with them today. I'm working with Total in the oil and gas space. I'm working with Accord. I'm working with all of these guys. And interestingly, I have actually come back in a better position of, again, a mini consultant, a person who's coming to create value for them. Not in a situation where they're telling me, Tumuwonye, we don't have to deal with this guy anymore. So it's very important for you to understand that legacy should be part of your journey in any place you are in. Be it society, be it organization, be it community. We live in very many places or societies where it's communal, you know? When you live as a neighbor and people say,
we're happy
he has left.
Yeah.
That means you haven't created value. And you will go to the next community or next place and still be the same. Because you haven't mastered the art from within to create that value that makes people want to be attracted to you and create value for your community, society, job, or any place. And I think that's what's really crucial, Eric.
Well, the CEO bench is going to take a break. And when we come back, Mr. Toa will dive into transformation. How do you create transformation? First of all, what is transformation? What is the understanding of transformation? Is he transforming the places that he has been to? Has he transformed the places he was before? And is he transforming the places in right now? And are there some quantifiable, justifiable, measurable metrics that we can follow as a man on the top? We'll be right back after the break. This is the CEO bench. Your kisses and dishes are all welcome. Please don't throw a stone because you might be in a glass house.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SEAL Uganda on number 0772-443085 or check our website www.sealuganda.com or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom.
It is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela. In the studio is Mr. Tony Okawotoa, the CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, the man on the top, and of course, he's still rising. And we're sharing the idea of personal leadership. What does it take for you to lead yourself to move forward? Some people don't even know how to start or where to be. And he's talking about change management. How do you manage change when you're moving from one job to the next and to the next? What happened? Do you burn the bridges like Tony was saying? No, because we're seeing a typical scenario where he's back in that place, even earning better than his salary was before. So how do you get to that point? It's something that we're talking about on the CEO Bench. And of course, this part of the show is about transformation. Mr. Tony Otoa, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much.
Transformational change is a process that we designed. For us here at the CEO Bench, we understand that one, you must design to create a significant change in the culture and work processes of an organization. And the procedure significantly improve in performance if you go there. What does transformation change mean to you at Stanbic Bank as the CEO? Or as Stanbic Incubator Business, rather?
I think it has very many facets, very many ways of looking at it. But I think for me personally, transformational leadership is really about not just about the whole organization, but it goes back to the individual.
Yeah, first.
Because it has to start with the individual, and then eventually you start seeing it having a ripple effect on all the people around, and you know your stakeholders, the people that you also engage with. But also transformational leadership in so much of a way is one that to transform, it takes a lot. It's a lot of learning and unlearning. Assuming that things are like this and should be like this because they were like this is the wrong way to actually make your move. You have to understand that so many things are transforming, are changing. We have gone through this crisis of COVID where people have learned that the digitization world or digital processes are very important in leadership, for instance. Leaders now have to go through that. If you want to transform as a leader, you have to also now take on board Zooms and team meetings and all of these. You have to get used to, can you see my presentation? Can you mute please? And all of this. You have to. Yeah. And these are things that were not very common 2 years ago. But transformational leadership for me is really about understanding that everything seems to be changing, and how do you as an individual, as a leader, work with that to be the ideal leader in that transformed environment. You can choose to be a guy who's not moving, you're static in one place. Or you can choose to be a guy who is developing faster to be able to deal with those changes. I was reading a very interesting book. It's really focusing on very much around crisis and leadership and change.
Yes.
And the writer goes on to say that it's very important for a leader who is going to survive and be magnificent to understand that it's important to plan for the bends and the corners that you do not see. Assuming just because you're on a straight road that everything is going to be straight is the worst a leader can think or assume. So you're supposed to imagine that at some 10 points, there are going to be changes. There are going to be bends.
Pitfalls.
Look at Nokia as a company. When the CEO of Nokia was speaking at a conference where they had made losses and so on and so forth, and they were kind of closing shop, he said, we actually did nothing wrong. The only thing that we did was we did nothing. Nokia was the number 1 company. Boss, I had my small Nokia phone. I remember it used to be on my belt.
Yes, yes.
Where is Nokia today?
Yeah.
The likes of Samsung, Motorola came in and stole that market and kept on changing and doing things different. The iPhone came in. It came in to make having a phone cooler, sexier, nicer, and whatever. Things that the static leadership of Nokia did not see. Transformational leadership. Assuming now, for instance, that, some of these soft drinks that you see, the competition that's going on with so many soft drinks that are coming into place, some of these big names had not actually factored in the truth that these small guys can actually come and take over your market.
Yeah.
Transformational leadership is about planning and preparing for those uncertain times. Knowing that at the end of this straight road, there's going to be a corner or a bend, and you need to anticipate and plan for it. And that is again where I go back to the idea of change. A constant. It will always happen. So what do you do when you're on the straight road? You start planning.
Wow.
You start planning.
Mr. Toa, we define change. Transformational leadership is something I speak very passionately about. And my definition of transformational leadership is a leadership approach to things that, one, causes change in an individual first, and then goes along to cause change in the social systems that transform the lives of many people, turning followers into leaders. That's how we define it here. But I want to take you to what is business transformation. First of all, we understand here as business transformation being a change of management of strategy, which can be defined as any shift, or as any shift, realignment of things, and of course procedures, significant movement to things, as well as the performance. But you guys at Stanbic Bank, or rather at Stanbic Business Incubator Limited, what do you teach these people?
I think what's most important for us to understand is that business is not really all about making money, but it's about creating value in society. And I think that's what we want to do. When you create value in society, the money eventually comes. We are creating businesses that are going to have an impact on not just the nation, but on the communities and the people that they serve. That for me is transformational. It's not really about money. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake you can ever do is to seek success. That's the biggest mistake. If you just stopped at the point of, I am not going to seek success, but let me just create impact and value, success eventually comes. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you see, you made success your goal, that you're failing to enjoy the process and what it takes to really get there.
Yeah.
And you're struggling to get there.
Yeah.
But when you engulf the process and you create about the value of people, bettering yourself, value, success just comes. And trust me, back to the area of value or money attached to value, success is inevitable. Success is inevitable. You see, if you think about the Wright brothers, for instance, let me tell you a simple story. The Wright brothers wanted to transform the world of aviation, transformational leadership in the world of aviation. On the other hand, you had a scientist who was paid by the American government. He had journalists going around following influencers, what we call influencers today, following him 24/7. He was paid by the military, about 50,000 US dollars at the time. A lot of money today. At the same time that the Wright brothers were trying to fly a plane. His motivation, success. His motivation, making money. His motivation, being famous. The Wright brothers, on the other hand, transformational leaders, was let us do something that will change the world of aviation. They never had the press or influencers. They never had the budgets that this other guy had. In fact, what is said about them is that they used to move with spare parts almost 19 times a day. They would try to fly, they fail. They try to fly, they fail. They try to fly, they fail. Guess who flew first? Or who put the bird in the air?
The Wright brothers.
The Wright brothers. What happened to the other gentleman? He packed his bags and left. He, in fact, abandoned the project. So you understand where I'm coming from when I talk about transformation. So this is what we want to tell businesses. It's not really about the money and all. The money will come, but if you begin by bettering yourself as a business, adding value to yourself as a business, becoming impactful in your area of business, in your sector, the money is inevitable.
Wow. Mr. Tony Toa, to somebody who is watching you out there,
Yeah.
and is a business person, and or somebody who has been beaten flat, living in America or in the UK, have sent their money down here back home to try and, start a business, and things didn't work and they don't want to hear anymore. What would you say to them before we dive into the next set of questions that winds up our meeting today?
First of all, nothing is always clear. I lived away from home for close to 11 years. And it's just like you being here in Kampala and telling a guy to plant your seeds in Lira. It doesn't work like that. You have to be intentional. If you want to do business here, you have to be intentional. Make the time. If you want to do business in Uganda, we have now all these digital platforms that you can use. But most important of all, be intentional. Make the time. Come and see your investment. How many Indians and Mzungus do you see flying, staying in their countries and saying, we have sent money to Uganda, we are doing something? They come and spend time here. And the beauty is, this is our home. So as Ugandans, we can actually do more for ourselves here. So I never understand why one would actually send money to do business here or without actually coming and see where his money is going and where the investment is going. I know of several stories of people who've sent money to build houses, and the person who's building will take a picture of the neighbor's house and come and say, well, 2271. You understand?
Yeah.
You have to be intentional about your investment. Because you see, people in the diaspora work so hard for their money. It's hard earned. And for you to just send it and have someone play around with it, that is suicide. So it's important for you to understand that it's critical for you to come and look at your investment. If I want to plant soya beans in Lira, I cannot just send money and say, how many acres have you dug? Okay, I have, and then just go back after 3 months. I have to go and make sure that while they're planting, how many seeds are they putting in? What's the spacing? How many, you understand?
Yeah.
And make sure that I'm following this process. And I've been a victim of the same. So I'm speaking from experience. So for you to really grow your business, understand what you want to do back home, be invested in it. Be intentional.
Wow. Mr. Tony Otoa, we're diving into our last part of this interview. The CEO Bench is very grateful, first of all, to have you today. And we want to run you through to a last set of questions, which are pretty much directed to where you are right now as the CEO. And our time is fast spent, but we'll run through this quickly. Number one, who do you look up to for inspiration or mentorship as Mr. Toa?
Mr. Toa, I have several mentors, business mentors, and I have leadership mentors. I have spiritual mentors. So my spiritual mentor, of course, is my parish priest in Mbuya. My business mentor is Agase Kalala. And for my leadership mentorship, most of them are dead, actually. There are many, but they're dead. You know, people like Che Guevara, people like Nelson Mandela, people like Mars Monroe. I mean, there are people who epitomize the discourse on leadership or what a true leader should be. So those are the people that I look forward to.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what is that one decision you wish you didn't make in your journey of change and transformation as an individual?
I think, I wouldn't say I don't have any, but I would say...
that one decision, when you look back, you're like, I shouldn't have made this decision.
That one decision. I don't really have that one decision. I mean, I always think that my decisions, whether good or bad, have been the reason that I am today who I am. You see, so it might have been bad at the time, but I think I learned from it to who I am today. So it ends up being a good thing. So I can't really pinpoint. I won't lie, Eddie. I would be a liar to tell you that if you had prepared me a month ago, I think I would have gone through my life story and come up with something. But for now,
yeah, you want to let that one go.
Yeah.
Mr. Tony Otoa, how do you keep your team quite very motivated despite conflict and obstacles as a CEO?
Make everyone be a leader in their own way.
How do you do that?
Work all in respect of each other. Work all in recognition of each other's strengths and weaknesses. But most important of all, always know that everyone has a play or a part to play rather. Everyone. Everyone. And the moment you do that, the moment you give people that ability, they will give you 100%.
And Mr. Tony Otoa, the CEO bench would like to know, what are those most important attributes of successful leaders today that you follow, that you walk in as a CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator Limited?
I think there are only two. One, people. They're people-oriented. Number one, people-oriented. Number two, they're always vulnerable, meaning that they are willing and seeking to learn every day. Two things. Vulnerability in the sense that you want to learn and become a better person. And number two, people.
Wow. This interview is coming to an end, and we decided that when you send your comment or kisses, we're definitely going to read and we're going to get back. I have already seen some people who sent questions today, and I want to bring this question to you, Mr. Toa. One of them is, can you please ask Mr. Toa what excites him very much every day he wakes up in the morning? He's always heightened. It's like the sugar levels are always up. What excites you? Somebody wants to know from France.
The fact that I have another day given to me, another day to make a difference, that alone is exciting. We're in a COVID time right now where some people are struggling to breathe. Just this air, just this oxygen. They have to get onto the fact that I can actually wake up and inhale and exhale.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I be excited? It's another chance to be a better person than I was yesterday. And it's also another chance that God has given me, saying, that's another chance for you. You go and run your day. That's what excites me.
Wow. This question is coming from my brother from another mother who used to work at UTL. Bernard says, could you please ask Mr. Tony Otoa during the CEO bench, what are you looking forward to in your new assignment as the CEO of Stanbic Business Incubator? And where would be your next step?
I think I'm just looking forward to creating an impact and creating value. And of course, I don't see myself staying there for a long time. I think there are better people with better ideas who can come and take over from me. You know, this whole idea of arrivism where you assume it's your thing and you want to hang your coat and assume the office is yours. No, I just want to do the best I can, create a lot of impact, and let someone else with more energy, more drive, more ideas come and take the play. It's always important as leaders to understand that the best thing you can ever leave your society, your community, is a successor.
Wow. Mr. Eddie Okela, I want you to ask Tony Otoa when you finally have him the CEO bench. Of course, 2020 was a difficult year. 2019 was a difficult year. Many people's businesses died and some closed shop. But could you ask Mr. Tony Otoa what is the best thing that has happened to him this year, 2021, so far, and how is he managing from the man who speaks about business?
I think it's the fact that we've seen businesses come back to life. That is what has really excited me. But also the fact that new players have come on board. That's just a good thing. You know, the fact that players have understood that in crisis lies opportunity. I'll tell you something interesting. In China, or in Mandarin, there is no word called crisis. There's no crisis, doesn't exist. Crisis is actually broken down in two words. It's, I think, Jiang Yu, which means danger, and then the other one, I think it begins with a W, meaning opportunity. So when people are shouting crisis, crisis, Chinaman is saying opportunity, opportunity. You understand? And so many businesses have seen that opportunity in this crisis, and I think that is the beauty about what has happened. And it also gives us a level ground, you know, a level ground for people who were not known to also now get to be known. Change of the status quo. That's exciting.
Wow. And of course, coming from you, the last question to Mr. Tony Otoa is a question that comes from a gentleman based in the United Kingdom. He says, what's the most important thing the viewers and the followers of the CEO bench who nominated you should be able to know about you, Mr. Tony Otoa? I am one of the people who nominated you because I really wanted to have you, you know, share your story on the CEO bench. This is your number 24th vote that came from the UK, coming from the one man called Dennis.
What should they know about me?
Yes.
I think I am a man of so many trades. I'm a hustler, like I said, tat boy, DJ, news guy, but I'm just a lover of life. I think the fact that we are living, the fact that we're able to be given a chance to live, I shouldn't say I shouldn't be a love of life. I am a love of life. Yeah.
Wow. Mr. Tony Otoa, our time is up.
Thank you.
And this is your last question. What are those 5 qualities of a good leader that you would like to leave us with today on the CEO bench?
Okay, I think I won't really go into 5. I'll just go into about, I think, 3, which I think are very, very crucial.
Key 1.
People-oriented. Like I said, vulnerable, always willing to learn. And number 3, always listening. You see, the problem with us is that leadership has just been about speaking to the people. We've forgotten the tendencies of leadership, which is really about listening. True leaders listen, and that is where wisdom comes from. And that is how you know how to take care of your people and how to steer that ship, like you mentioned before.
Well, the CEO bench has come to an end. Mr. Tony Otoa, parting shot from you, and I'm going to put you on the spot. There are 5 leadership approaches that we have. 1, transformational leadership approach. 2, autocratic leadership approach. And 3, laissez-faire leadership approach. 4, we're looking at transactional leadership approach. And 5 is what we call a transformative leadership approach. Which one do you use? Pick 3 and tell us why as you close the show and you're parting short.
You know, leadership is quite interesting. You need to actually pick, and you might need to pick from all of those to really blend. But I'll be honest with you. The moment you start making leadership more of transactional or more of you know, where people assume that for them to do a task they have to suck up to you, that is already a failure in your leadership. It's very transformational, very much people-oriented, very much about growth.
Why not laissez-faire? You said you can pick from a
Laissez-faire is not your kind of lead. I mean, you see, let me tell you about laissez-faire.
Yeah.
And I'll end with this as the best example. When you see sheep are laissez-faire. There's no leader in there. Everyone is a leader. They're all over the place. When it's about walking into a cliff, they all just follow that one sheep and they all fall into the cliff or the river.
Yes.
The lion, on the other hand, that's a lion. It's a leader in the animal kingdom. It's transformational. And that's why you'll find that an army of sheep led by a lion will beat an army of lions led by a sheep. That's a fake.
Yeah.
So let's be very honest about this thing and really understand that you need to understand where you lie and where you fall. So it's very important for us to understand that leadership has to be definitive. You can't be laissez-faire. It has to be definitive. You have to be strong. just like a lion. You know, when a lion meets an elephant or a buffalo or whatever, the buffalo and all these animals run away. And yet, by the way, they are stronger than the lion, they are heavier than the lion, they are more intelligent than the lion, they are taller than the lion. They run away. The lion, because of its attitude, it sees lunch. That is a leader.
Mr. Tony Trav, thank you very much for coming to the CEO bench. And I want to ask you, so if you were elected the President of the Republic of Uganda today, what would be your first State of Nation address now, as you look into the camera and close the show?
I think my first State of the Nation address would first of all to... I think I'll just close it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO bench has come to an end, and of course, thank you very much, Mr. Tony Trav, for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having you to the show. I'm sorry, guys, we're going to bring the show to an end, but somebody says, can we have a round two of that gentleman coming to the show? Tony, if there's a vote for you to come back to the show, would you come back? They
Most
want you to
definitely.
talk about the leadership more and the business. How do you incubate business from zero to something?
Most definitely.
All right, so we're going to structure that on the CEO bench, and of course we'll ask Mr. Tony Otoa to come back to share that on the show. Until next week, we want to say thank you very much for being a part of the CEO bench, growing bigger and better every single day. And of course, please subscribe and be part of the show. If you want to reach out to Mr. Tony Otoa, look out for him at the Stanbic Business Incubator Limited. You will be inspired. Until next week, the CEO bench. It's a wrap from us here. Until then, Edio Killer, Tony Otoa signing out.
Coffee plants take a year to start giving you the beans, and then you have to find yourself, like, if they have taken a year to bring your beans on the plant, you're going to take other 4 or 6 months before they start being green. So like a year and a half before you start harvesting your coffee. Yeah, because it's so crucial to harvest those ready cherries, because those are the good quality beans or coffee cherries that we need, that will make this cup of coffee that we're having here.
And another thing, is there like a particular season that I have to plant my coffee beans in, or I can just wake up one day and be like, you know what, I want to plant coffee today?
Well, why do you think that we have less coffee farming in Central region?
I have no idea.
Because look, the lands, like you talked about during the introduction of the soil, the soils determine how your coffee is going to come out.
True.
So a farmer will determine the area I am in. For example, you find Elgon region, it's always cloudy, it's always rainy, you know, that's why you have a lot of landslides there, because a lot of rains are there.
There's rain.
You find the Renzo region, same place. So that's why we're having a lot of coffee coming from different places in these areas. Elgon region, Renzo region, because you can't tell that sun is going to be at this time, or it's going to be a bit hot in this area.
Uganda's weather is sometimes unpredictable.
Like rainy, every year, out in and out. So you can't grow coffee in a hot area because you can't have a season. But for the farmers, they know, this season it's going to be hot for like 2 months. So the next season it's going to be hot like for 6 months or 7 months. So they will use that opportunity to grow coffee from the 3rd month to maybe the 7th month, so that these other 2 months that are going to come in, they won't affect these 2 months that are very hot. So they know how they do their things in the farm, and understand each period or each season better on how to grow coffee. And one good thing about coffee is, the moment you have your coffee plant come up and it's well good looking, it's giving you those green cherries, it's giving you red cherries to harvest. I mean, it's just a matter of like pruning, cutting it off, like shaping it well, and it will give you
a good yield.
Yeah, like to yield again, not like cutting it down forever and plant another one.
So it regrows.
Yeah, it regrows. It regrows. So you can have like 4 harvests Before,
from just one planting?
Yeah, from one planting.
Ah, okay.
Before you decide, like, let me remove this coffee tree
Oh.
and plant another one. So that's one good thing about coffee.
Okay. Yeah, so now we've got the farmer's part. Let's say, you know, I've taken my 6 months, 4 months, or 1 year.
Yeah.
My coffee beans are out. Okay, now what is the next, what's the next thing in the chain? Because now the chain has to go down to the final consumer. Okay, so after the farmers have done their part, okay, what next? Okay, how do we, from harvesting these coffee beans, okay, do we take them to such an industry, or do we take them under, you know, drying under the sun? What happens between the farmers and the final product?
Well, one thing is, you've heard about the term coffee chain.
Yeah.
A coffee chain is that whole process of growing coffee. Let me use the term a coffee to tree cup,
Okay.
tree to cup.
Tree to cup.
Yeah,
yes.
tree to cup a process. You grow coffee from the farm,
Yeah.
but it ends up in a cup somewhere.
yeah.
But you don't know how it ended there. You're just having your cup of coffee, drinking it.
True.
So your question is, what is next after farming? So farmers do their role
Yeah, they
of
do.
growing coffee, looking after coffee,
Yeah.
but there are also the buyers
Uh-huh.
that buy this coffee from the farmers.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to have the bad buyers, the good buyers, the ones that kuchupula, the farmers,
Yeah.
you know. But as you're buying this coffee,
Uh.
the graders, like within these buyers, they grade coffee, how good it is
Yeah.
from the farm. So after them buying the coffee, that's how they bring it to the market.
Okay.
So if they buy the coffee maybe from the Rwenzori region and bring it to Kampala right here,
Yeah.
I'll also buy that coffee from them at a different price,
Yeah.
depending on how you negotiate.
Uh.
So after buying this coffee, I'll have to decide on how to use it.
Okay.
Am I going to roast it
Oh.
and brew it to have this cup of coffee,
Yeah.
or I'm going to use these these beans?
Yeah.
Already, they call them green, but they're not green in color
in color.
after harvesting.
Oh.
But they're called green beans because they haven't been roasted or they haven't been processed.
Yeah.
So am I going to use these green beans to use them as a deco or use them as a scrubbing material? Because
Can use them for scrubbing?
Yeah, coffee can be used to make very many things.
Ah, okay.
So it depends from the buyer.
Ah.
How is he going to use this coffee?
Okay.
So if he's going to use it for making beverages like these ones,
Yeah.
he's going to go to a roaster. From a roaster,
Ah.
when they've roasted that coffee, he's going to go to the cupper.
Yeah.
Because you have to cup that coffee
Yes.
to see how is it scoring. Is it going to be a good cup of coffee because you're roasting it because you want to drink it?
Yeah.
Because you can't drink unroasted coffee.
True.
It's like checking, I don't know if some of you have taken the chigaji. Like it's chimemeruka, I don't know that word in English.
So we'll get a subtitle.
Yeah, so like if you've roasted that coffee, it's easier for you to pound it or grind it and make a beverage from it.
Okay.
So after roasting it, you cup it to see how is it going to score, how is my cup of coffee going to taste, you know? So after cupping it, that's how you get to the brewing process.
Okay.
But also the brewing process, after brewing it, there are a lot of things you can use to get benefits from these coffee residues that you've brewed coffee from.
Okay.
Because you can use them as fertilizers, so it goes back to the farmer.
Yeah.
So you see, that's how the
There's
coffee
like
chain.
a cycle that
yes,
goes
it's
back.
a very big cycle
right,
that
right.
comes along with coffee.
Okay.
So that's the process.
So you said coffee is not only drunk; it can be used for other things.
Yeah.
For example, you said for cleaning. So apart from drinking and cleaning, what are the other uses we can have for coffee? Because I believe that also provides a bigger market for the person growing it, for the farmer. Okay, if I cannot only send it to the baristas and the roasters, but I can also sell it to other industries that are doing different things. So what are those other different things that we can do with coffee?
Well, coffee, one thing is you can use it for deco because it's classy, it's well looking. I mean, if you have your bucket of coffee here and there are those green beans, someone comes and like they're touching them, that's deco already. That's one use. The second, we've been talking about the health benefits of coffee here in the show. So most of you know the health benefits. It has health benefits. The third is the coffee husks after grinding them. I mean, after milling them or pulping them, there are those coffee husks that come after getting the coffee bean or that ground bean. One, it can be used as poultry feeds, just like the way you can see growing maize grain.
Maize grain.
Husks. They can be mashed and
for the poultry.
For the poultry. Same applies to the coffee. Third, you can use or you can keep those coffee pulped residues or cherries to manure up and use them as manure. So you see how you're getting it's like recycling a bottle and you use it again over and over and over without like throwing away the products. And the other thing I talked about, scrubbing. You've gone to a salon or you've gone to a spa and they scrub you. So someone might decide to choose coffee scrub.
Oh, you can use coffee for the skin.
Yeah, for the skin, like because the scrubbing you. So and remember, coffee has that solid or after crushing it, there was that solid part that comes along with it. So they mix it very well, and then they use it for scrub. You want to go out there and you're smelling coffee. You're like, I've used coffee to scrub my face or scrub my body. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that you can use coffee to do.
Okay. So
besides taking it as a beverage.
So that now brings us into the financial part of coffee. You know, now as a layman, you've told me all these things, and now I'm considering. I'm saying, you know what, this is what coffee can actually do for me. Okay, so I'm looking at a financial perspective. Now, what kind of advice would you give me, okay, a layman who wants to get into the coffee business, be it from the farming, be it being a grader, being a barista? What kind of advice would you give me?
Well, you talked about the advice already. As we were starting the show, you said like giving birth to a child, but no one wants to talk about how the child is conceived.
Conceived, yes.
So to interpret this is, please, if you want to get into the coffee business, don't just wait for the coffee in a cup. No, go deep down to the farms, go deep down to the farmers, talk to them, get engaged, get to know your product as a coffee product. That's how you understand how best can you give out coffee products to the public or to the consumers. Because the moment you only want to have a coffee in a cup, or for example, you have a coffee shop or you have a coffee business that's selling coffee or coffee equipment, you won't get to know the pain that the farmer goes through to make this coffee.
True,
so if it's asking for something like a basket or a pulping machine, you'll be like, you want to steal me, you know, like such things. But if you know the pain they go through, the hurdles they go through to get this cup of coffee here, then you understand the coffee chain, and it will be very much easier for you to invest in that business. So that's the advice I could give you.
So
get involved in the business.
A word out there for people who only wait for the coffee in the cup. When they tell you a cup of coffee is at this price, you should understand where the coffee actually came from. Okay, that is how you're going to appreciate the whole process. Don't just say, this coffee is too expensive, I can't do this. You should actually try and understand where the coffee comes from. So now that we have all these things in play, okay, I believe that with every industry, okay, there are certain hurdles, there are certain hardships that you go through. We talked about the first one, that was the pesticides, that really pulls down the quality of the coffee at the end of the day. So what are those other hurdles or those other obstacles that, you know, the people in the coffee chain will actually face?
Well, this whole conversation is all a bit about farmers, because you can say without a farmer we're not getting this cup of coffee. And without us, the consumers, the farmer won't do the coffee. Like
both sides
they need each other. But then the hurdles that farmers go through, one is ignorance. They do things that they're ignorant about. Like for example, if they're spraying that coffee plant, do they know why they're spraying it? Do they know the effect? But if they are educated or if they are sensitized about the effects, then they won't do.
They won't do that.
So it goes back to the advice that I would give the coffee person who wants to invest in the business. try to invest into your farmers or try to invest into your employees who are in the farms.
Yeah.
Teach them that
educate them.
Yes. How best can they grow that coffee.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I know they're the ones like taking place or doing everything in the farms, but they need this information.
Yeah, they do need,
because they're ignorant. I mean, they're in the farms, they're in the villages.
Yeah.
For you have information all over. You have smartphone, tablets.
Readily available. Yes.
Yeah, you read. Most of our farmers, for the lack of a better word, they're illiterate.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's very true, because they're only growing this coffee to get money to pay school fees for their children.
Yeah, for their survival.
Yeah, for their survival, basically. They don't mind about like the good quality of coffee. But if you want this good quality of coffee, invest in it. You get. So that's one challenge. They're ignorant. The second challenge is people who don't pay the value of farmers. For example, you devalue a farmer by buying a kilo of coffee at 500. What are you up to? I mean, so the farmer has invested into the coffee project from the bed seed to the main garden. He has looked after it for over a year and a half, and you just bring a kilo of coffee.
So how much would a kilo go for?
Well, there's a standard of coffee. I mean, UCDA put a standard of coffee pricing. It's around 1,500 a kilo.
For a kilo.
But you find a good coffee a good coffee business person is at least adding in value to a farmer. Maybe he's buying a kilo at 2,500 or 2,000.
So
that's already added value.
So the minimum you can pay is 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500. Of recent, I'm not sure. I was reading about it. They were saying it's now around 2,000 a kilo, but I haven't confirmed that. So we shall have to confirm that before we confirm we bring it to the show. But I mean, if you value the works of a farmer, the farmer will be happy. Will put in a lot of energy, efforts to at least give you that good quality coffee from the farm. The third one is equipment. Like most farmers grow coffee, but they don't have equipment. You know, so if you have a pulping machine, you have raised beds, like after harvesting coffee. You have scissors for like pruning coffee. I mean, you're going to have a good quality of coffee. But if you businessman and you want to invest into this, please go down to the farms and give farmers these equipments, because that's how we're going to get good coffee on market in Uganda and worldwide. True.
So with those, the obstacles that you guys are facing, is there any organization, be it an NGO or a government body, that takes care of the coffee growers, and how have they helped, or is it just big gamble? People just be talking of how they're going to help you?
Well, not to be stingy about information, UCDA, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, is all responsible for this. Like, you have to put into place policies that are going to help farmers, that are going to help coffee business people, that are going to help baristas, that are going to help cuppers, roasters, various people in the coffee business. But UCDA, I've tried so much to read about them and follow their works. I mean, they're not doing enough, like, to put in place these policies that help farmers. Because now you'll find, like you said about NGOs, some NGOs come in, but they find a lot of challenges getting to this coffee business because of a lot of difficult policies that are put up by UCDA.
So you have,
for example, just imagine,
bureaucracy.
just imagine you wanted to venture into a coffee business. That would be hard for you because of the policies that are there. Here you have to pay this for the license, you have to pay this for here starting a coffee farm. There are a lot of things that are involved to get into the coffee business. So what they do, it's different private organizations like NGOs that start up like coffee farming groups to help these farmers. For example, let me use, it's not I work with Enduro Coffee, and it's not blowing my own trumpet, but Enduro Coffee has a farmers association. It's called Enduro Coffee Growers. So it has a coffee shop, the coffee shop business, but it's also like has that Enduro Growers kind of association. So the Enduro Growers is totally different from the Enduro Coffee shop, because Enro Growers helps to nurture these farmers, you know, give them information, give them products that they're going to use, and this is how you're going to help farmers. You're giving them information how to better their crops, how to better their coffee farms. So I wish everybody could do this, then we could have the best coffee in the market.
Yeah, that's very true.
And we would have less challenges with farmers.
Okay, our time is fast spent. We are almost coming to the end of the coffee break. But before we go, we have actually gone through the process of it starts from the farmer and ends up in a cup. We call that from tree to cup. Okay, now Uganda is predominantly a tea drinking nation. Okay, people drink tea. Okay, and it's a very hard thing to convert people from
tea to coffee.
Leave your tea and take coffee. There are a lot of myths that people have about coffee. Some I once heard that coffee helps you reduce weight. Then someone else said when you drink coffee, forget about sleep that day. It's gone. So what are some of the myths around coffee, and are they true? Okay, for me who wants to get into coffee, I need to know what am I getting myself into. Well,
good enough you're also using the word myths, so which means they're not true. But I mean, like as a beverage with a catalyst, let me use the word chemical. As you're starting to take it, of course you will experience different challenges.
That's true.
So, but when you get used to it, then everything becomes normal. So there are all the things you hear about coffee, my dear friend, they're not true. They are not true. Try to make more research about them. Watch the coffee break every weekend. You get to realize that the things are not true.
So if I take my coffee at night, surely I will sleep.
At night, like at what time?
Let's say my bedtime is 11 p.m. So I take my coffee around 8, 9.
Let me ask you something. Would you eat supper at 11 a.m. when you're going to sleep?
No.
No. So that's the same thing. Where would you take coffee and yet you're going to sleep? I mean, coffee is meant for like early mornings, during the day, you're busy with work, you want something. Like instead of taking those energy drinks, no, take a coffee.
But is that coffee itself an energy drink? Because doesn't it cause some kind of dependence? There are some people when they wake up, a brother of mine, when he wakes up in the morning, he looks like a zombie. But as soon as he hits that coffee, boom.
It's addiction. It's addiction because it's like when you wake up in the morning, you always take a glass of water. That's like your routine. You're addicted to that. Same thing applies to coffee. So when they get used, like their body system is meant for coffee. So when they wake up, they feel like they need coffee before they start their day. Same applies to the coffee drink. I mean to the water drink. When they wake up, they feel like I need my glass of water before I start my day.
That's very. I think even for me, a person who drinks tea. Okay. Sometimes when I don't drink tea, I feel like I really need to get tea. But we've come almost to the end of our coffee break today with Amon. Amon, just look into the camera and tell people the last words. Okay. For this weekend, I know we'll still have you other weekends coming, but is there anything you want to tell maybe a new coffee drinker, the farmers, whoever is in that chain? Any advice, any last words you would want to give out to them?
Well, my advice is going to two people, the farmer and the business person, like the one who buys coffee from the farms. So listen up, farmers, wherever you're watching us from, you're in the village, you're in your farm, you grow, you're pruning your coffee, you're harvesting your coffee. Please make sure that when these business people come to your farm, ask a lot of information from them. Make research. They shouldn't duplicate you. They shouldn't undervalue your efforts put into those farms. You get? So, if you're a farmer, make sure that you don't get undervalued. And for a business person, don't use your literacy or your information that you have about coffee to dupe these farmers. Please, don't do that. Let's all value each other, and then we shall have good coffee around the world, especially in Uganda, more so.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it there from, I like to say, Mr. Professional, Mr. Amon Mukisa, because at this point you're the professional here and I was the one learning. But thank you very much for the advice. I'd just like to add on to that, especially not only to the people who do, not only to the farmers and people who really grow food for us. A lot of times these people are actually taken for granted. Okay, for example, when I go to the market and I'm buying tomatoes, I'll go there and argue for a price that I think I should buy it at. yet the person who brought it actually went through certain trials. Okay, so we should be able to appreciate, you know, their work from the beginning until it gets to the end result. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes I can go to, let's say, a restaurant or to a supermarket and waste a lot of money on buying things that are not even Ugandan. Okay, but why can't I support my people down here? Okay, yes. So to the people out there who take coffee, who are planning to get into coffee business, the new drinkers of coffee, support the hustle. Okay, be Uganda, buy Uganda.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all we had today on the coffee break. Till next week, this is House of Talent Television. My name is Ateng Emmanuel. Have a good weekend and happy Labor Day, 1st of May 2021.
In recent years, music has become the most important art form in Iceland, and apart from the classical musicians and singers, we have very many well-known pop musicians like Björk, who the whole world has fallen in love with.
My calling was folk music. I've been a folk artist, and that is what I'm still doing. I started by being an apprentice of the late Dr. Albert Sempeke.
Welcome to the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Edio Killer on this 6th day of April 2021, when we get to discuss the investments into the creative industry in Uganda and of course all across Africa and across the world. But first, we would like to say thank you for coming out of the holidays. As far as the Easter is concerned, if you've enjoyed, well and good, and we want to observe a moment of silence of the significant person in our religious settings, Archbishop Cyprian Lwanga, who passed on Good Friday. The jokes around is that when you die on Friday, you should resurrect like Jesus after 3 days, but of course it's not possible. So moment of silence right there to all our creative people who in that space. And of course, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you to the program. On the studio, or rather on the program today and in the studio, is the one and only Faizo Chiwewa, who is the founder and the CEO of Bayimba International Festival, or Bayimba Foundation, as is well known to you. Welcome to the show, Faizo.
Thanks, Eddie.
How are you doing?
Good, good.
You had a concert over the weekend at the island. How did it go?
It went very well. That's why I'm still
sleepy.
Yeah, not sleepy. I'm just recovering.
Yes.
Recovering from the fun.
Okay.
But it was good. We had a good number of performances with a small group of fans of those artists.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big concert. Just 50 people enjoying the wild nature, doing some trekking, bird watching. We have a lot of monkeys, and then nice evening of acoustic music.
Wow.
So it was
wow.
really nice, yeah.
I surely missed that. You slotted that in without giving us a full I was here.
I mean, it wasn't yeah, of course it's important to keep the SOPs,
yes,
and also not to make people excited, because the more you tell people, the more everyone wants to get out, everyone wants to have fun. So we just try to keep it slow, keep it within a certain group of people. So, and you're not one of those people. Sorry.
I thought we are buddies.
We are business partners. We are business partners, not buddies yet.
Yes.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right, but welcome to the show, and to all of you guys joining us. We're live on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And today we have a long way to go, short time to get there. Faizo and I are going to be talking about investments into our creative industry. This is a topic that you need to share with as many people out there as possible. Please make sure you share this far and wide to your friends, your cousins, your sisters, your brothers who are actually in the creative industry. If you're a student of the creative arts, this is very important for you. And if you are an investor into the creative art industry, this is very important for you. And of course, it's important for all of us who are in the communication and the creative communication and of course advertising, because without the investment to this part of the society, we are going nowhere. We pass on communication whenever there is a disease or a pandemic, endemic like what we're in right now. We use artists, we use creative art to pass on. But we tend to forget the investment to this sector or in this industry, until when something come and hits us hard is when we remember, oh, Faizo, can you please organize for me Bayimba and the artists within under that to sing about this or talk about this. And we need to be able to organize ourselves in such a manner that we have these people ready to always take care of this. And Faisal, I would like you to give us a preamble. Why do you think we need investment in this industry or in this sector?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we all know what the creative industry is. We just tend to ignore it, you know, as a people, and also those who are responsible. And it's not only one person or one sector or one segment of a population that is responsible for the creative arts. I think the responsibility is for everyone. So why do we need to invest? When we all wake up, you know, everyone who is watching or everyone who is making a phone call, everyone who is on a border, whether you're in a taxi driving, listening to music, you watched Netflix last night, or you went out on Easter, even if going to church using a microphone, or those are all products of the creative industry.
Correct.
All those things have been created, thought by people, invented if they were not there, you know, creatively developed to become useful and more important for people. So they have been part of our life. They are part of our day-to-day lives. We wear clothes, we wear, you know, we listen to music. So we are consuming the creative content every day. But when it comes to thinking about, when the question comes or when the topic comes up, like, oh, how much are we investing in the creative arts? And everyone starts looking on the other side, not really paying attention to the process that goes through when someone is creating a content. It's like, you know, the usual saying of like milking a cow
without feeding
the cow. But it's we've been told, I mean, recently someone fed their goat very well and they sold it for $100,000. So I think maybe we should try out, you know, this theory. It might work. You know, if a goat can cost $100,000, it was presented, not proven.
I don't know whether that goat was scientific or hybrid goat,
but it was presented. Maybe it was not proven. But I really think that if we really think about it, how much are we putting in this creative content that we consume every day? How much are we putting into film? Yes, someone can say, when I watch a film on Netflix, I pay a monthly fee for it. But how much are you putting into your own local content? How much are you supportive? How much are you contributing? So this is where we really need to think, and we have to be, you know, we have to also take advantage of situations. You know, like for them, I was listening to a presenter talking about Albert Einstein when he was teaching, and the assistant asked him, why are you asking the same question to the students of this year, which is the same as you asked the other year? And he was like, because the answers are different. And I'm like, but it's the same question. I'm like, yeah, which means that the way you got somewhere this year, it's not the way you're going to get somewhere the other year. So it's different. So answers are always different. Approaches are always different. So when someone says, I buy music or I watch a concert, that's not the only way for the industry to grow. There are so many other aspects that we need to do. And we have to take advantage of the digital age, the need for film, the need for music, the need for our situation we've been through, where we've consumed more creative content than ever before during this pandemic, as we've been all locked down. So we are getting out there. We need to think and see how better can we invest into this area. How many people have been employed? You know, when I look around here, just here, how many people are able to employ because of doing what we are doing right now? You know, right now there are so many people working around us that you only see the two of us, but there are so many people working around us that are to bring all this together. So just put that into, if we have 10 or 15 in every city of this kind, then how many young people are you going to be employing? So the investment is not even a question why, it is a must. We have to.
Okay. Faisal, that's really a very good perspective to that. I want to just go on to give you an offshore question. Do you think that governments all across the world, that notwithstanding the government in Uganda or government in Africa, do understand the art industry like it is understood in America, in Europe? and in Asia, that this is a big sector that is bringing money, therefore we must invest in this sector?
I think they do understand, and I wouldn't be fair to sit here and say our government doesn't understand the power of the creative industry, because they also live it.
Yeah.
You know, they know when they go to their political campaigns, they call upon all those local artists to work with them. They go to the NASA Road to make posters. They go to people in the printing to make t-shirts and capes and ballets and whatever. So they know, maybe they don't know that these are creative products at the end of the day, but I think they know the value, they know the consumption, they know the investment, they know the workforce that is behind it.
Yeah.
I think what is really challenging is the question of priorities.
Yeah.
I don't really think that our government, and it's not only their responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, government, we are part of the government.
Yeah.
It's also our responsibility as a people to understand and contribute to the process of the government understanding.
Yeah.
The government is not expected to do anything, and that's where also sometimes they go wrong, where they realize that, oh, we need to support young people, and they say, okay, we're going to give you money to run this project. That's not what the young people need.
Yeah, because it's always about giving money.
Yeah,
But are these people ready to receive this money that we are giving? And is it possible? Is it okay for us to give money to individuals? Or it's okay to give money to a pool?
They have they have rent to pay, bills and stuff like that. So what can you do with 12 million? Seriously.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we have to look at it from a global perspective, from a whole sector perspective, from a whole industry perspective, and assess and analyze where are our priorities? Where do we need to invest? Do we need to give people cash so that they go back home and spend it? Or do we need to put up structures, systemic structures that are going to be able to really do the mid-term and the long-term investment that we need? So that's where I think they should.
Okay, I just want to take you through to one or two things about our discussion today. And if we are talking about investment into our industry, quite often government, like you've said, understood or rather understands the importance of, creative art industry.
Yeah.
But you're saying maybe they know, but they don't know how important it is to us, or the information has not been passed out very well. Is that a question of the artist or the creative mind not being able to go all out to give as much information as possible, so that the people who are in position of leadership can actually think of putting serious budget into development of the creative art industry?
I think the conversation, most of the time we tend to spend more time discussing what the government should and not do when it comes to these kind of investments.
Yeah.
I think it's not the responsibility of the government alone. Okay. It's a whole 360 value chain that has to be investigated and thought and presented as a country.
Yeah.
We have to all understand our responsibilities in this investment. For example, as an individual, I think I need to invest in myself. I can't wait for government to invest in me to be able to do my business better.
Yeah.
I think also we have to look at other investment channels that are possible. Yes, they can be cultivated and motivated by government if the government allows them to do so, but they can also think, because one of the things I've seen the entertainment industry here in Uganda has been very much cultivated and honored and supported by the private sector, but selectively. Not everyone. They choose who they want to work with. They choose where they want to put their money. And sometimes it's not for good reasons, but sometimes also it's not the right person, but they put their money there because they have chosen so. Whereas if they had chosen to work together, which is very hard, but possible, as a private sector, to say, okay, we want to invest in the arts. Why? Because we work with tech people. Even if Airtel, even MTN, Coca-Cola, they all have communications people.
Yeah.
They have IT people. Yeah. They have producers. They have people who make jingles and adverts for them. These are creative people. Yeah. So if they want to have the next generation of better people than the one they have, they can also say, why don't we invest in the right processes of developing these human capacities of these individuals? So I think it's something that we really have to look at. Also the local people, the audiences. How much are they spending? Do they find value in going to NASA Road and going with a flash disk and taking 1,000 songs from a shop guy rather than paying a CD on iTunes for Chameleon to get more money.
Yeah.
That's also their responsibility. So they're not supportive because they find it easy and cheaper instead of saying, I need to support my industry.
Okay.
Then, and also where the government comes in, that have you put those regulations and structures that even if someone really will feel ashamed to go to NASA Road and pick songs without paying for them.
A lot has been said about the knowledge of our people in the industry. The consumers of the creative art work are not quite very much aware of the value that these people actually put in, the effort that the artists put in to create this work that we consume. For example, an artist is going to go into the studio to record a song, but before the song is recorded, there's somebody who wrote the song. They spend sleepless nights trying to put this song together so that it makes sense. And this song must have meaning behind the words being sung or the word being said. And the tune must correlate with that. The video we are going to shoot, there has to be somebody who is planning on how the scene is going to look like, and the camera, the set, and all this stuff, so that the storyline is followed. Quite often, these people who pirate music don't understand, and therefore they reduce the value of investment into the creative art industry. How best can we make everyone understand, Faisal, from your standpoint as a man who has done it, as a man who has offered himself to do something that the creative industry had not seen before? With Baimba, you've seen how the artists are struggling, you've spent a lot more time with them. How best can we make these people who pirate music understand so that we can create more value and need for investment in the industry?
I think the creatives themselves have to first understand. And one of the things that I learned as a programmer and a presenter in this line of work is that people sometimes don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just that people don't know that they need to pay for what they are consuming.
Yeah.
But they feel they have the right to consume it. You know, and they would argue.
Yes.
And it's not their fault, because the people who are creating the content have also not made it clear to them that you are going to, this content has to be paid for.
Yes.
And also there are those who pirate it, of course. I've
yes.
also watched some pirated movies, and you'd be like, how much? What?
I mean, we have consumed the pirated movies in Uganda.
And you don't think about it. You enjoy the movie and be like, it was a good one, or I didn't like it, or whatever it is. But you have not thought about, have you really, really paid for this value that you have
thought about the value?
So I think it's sometimes a process that we all have to understand and say, okay, as an artist, what measures do I put into musicians? Or there are certain things that are difficult to pirate, except if you're going to just download a movie. But like theater, it's really difficult to pirate theater. How do you?
Maybe you can go in your phone and
exactly
and record it.
That's different. You can say, okay, I'll record it, and then say, and that's why in Europe and the East, most people, when it comes to productions, live productions, your phones are never allowed. You cannot even see anyone's phone up. But here you find someone is watching, they record the whole show, and then they go back and upload it on their YouTube channels and stuff like that. That is not right. You can, just as a human, and also with respect of the artist. Of course, on the other hand, there are those who want to promote their work. Like, record as much as you can, make it viral. This is what I hear these days. I'm not on social media, but when I see people, I'm not going to start this conversation before I see 5,000 people, and I'm like watching live, and I'm like, what is he talking about? But that's where people, so there are those who want to promote themselves. They don't mind their artwork or content being pirated. And there are those who want to protect their integrity and their work, their royalties and their copyright, and they want to protect their work, but they have to know how. And that's where we need some bit of education, a bit of understanding, a bit of research, and sharing, or working together with everyone involved to make sure that we don't continue to lose our work.
Okay, Faisal, all it right there. We are talking about creative industry investment, or investment in the creative industry in Uganda, and why we need the investment in the creative art industry in Uganda, the importance of it. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faisal will go through to question number 2. Given our context, what can we do? What kind of investment are we looking at? Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break. Enjoy the nostalgia, the memory of Ngoni music.
Hi, my name is Chila.
Red Rat from Borderman and so. This is your boy Salvador, the only Westerner from West 9.
Susan Peronen. Donna Michelle coming all the way from Canada.
Road Freddy Sabata. Kaskazozi, and here at the Baimba.
Baimba.
Was 2011. And you're glued to double XL.
Double XL.
Double XL.
XXL.
XXL.
XXL. XXL. Season 2.
Era Wendy, atenchali wonyo. Booyah!
Katemba na mukowa hani kimanye ntibakuntondera nze buli kiwoma nakizula mugwe omukwano gwo teguyinza kuntama n'amapenzi go tegakutika malayika
Welcome back from that break. My name is Eddie Okila, and this is the Creative Industry Talk, where we get to discuss matters of the industry and matters to do with the creative art industry in Uganda. Uganda has a lot of talent. Great talent is produced out of Uganda. Are we taking advantage of this? Are we exporting this talent to the world? Are we selling this talent to earn us money to develop our country? Do we expose this talent enough? Do we need investment in this area? Yes, I think we do. And that's a discussion today. We're talking about investment in the creative art industry. And of course, I'd like to welcome Faisal back on the show. Faisal, thank you very much. Before we went for a break, you had answered the question of why do we need investment in the creative art industry? I want to take you to the second question. And the second question would be, given our context, like you have already painted, and which areas of investments are or should we, prioritize as a country, that if you speak to those who are in authority, will make more sense to them, now that you've given the reason why they should invest. And then also, which areas of development can private sector players come in to play? And are there any areas? Take, for example, the Ngoni song, which has just been played. They invested a lot of money into developing music. And just before we went for a break, you were telling us how we are very fond of copying music from artists, not thinking very much about how much the time an artist has spent or the group of people behind that artist has spent to put money. And all of these people have to earn. Ngoni is a typical case. They were playing very great music, good music, great investment, and they were not being appreciated. They just went out and they found themselves stuck in a lot of financial burden because we're not appreciating. Now, as you talk through this question number 2, what lessons can we learn from these artists who have gone out, and how can we help better the new generation coming?
Yeah, I think, okay, when we talk about, given our context, of course, every country is different. We look at ourselves, how much do we contribute globally to the, as a country or as an industry towards the global economy. But also, I think we have also to look at how much we contribute locally within our own national socio-economic, change. And when you look at that, then you can start understanding which areas are doing well, where do we need to put more investment, where do we need to add more effort, where do we need to regulate more or relax a bit. Because, the way, for me, I think the way things work, there's nothing, stagnant, even if it comes to policy or regulation or investment or whatever. Correct. You really have to keep going back and forth. Every 5 years or 3 years, you really evaluate, review, and then think of a different approach. That's how you get more, interesting things. I like to work towards something more challenging than just doing the same thing that I do every day. So I think this is also where we need to look at where we are as Ugandans and as a creative industry in Uganda. I'm not going to go into the numbers, how much Uganda contributes to the national GDP given to the creative economy reports, but I'm also looking at the simple things, like what do we do on a daily basis? And look at how much do we contribute to the day-to-day operations of every area. At my office, how many people are working there? Here, how many people are working here? Those are all jobs. And then when you look at, but those people, do they come to this industry to serve it with the best knowledge possible? Do they come with do they just come with passion? And then they have to learn on the job. So the investment in human capital is very, very significant. Investing in the people that are doing the work that we want them to do, even if it's just creative designers. And that investment has to be both individual. As I said earlier, as a person, you really have to invest in yourself. And it might be difficult to say, okay, I want to learn how to make film like they do it in Hollywood, and there's no school for music. Of course, that's also another issue. That's where we get into the second area, where we need to do deeper investments as a sector, as government and other institutional private sector, as we talked about the private public partnerships, and see where can we add more training facilities to educate new entrepreneurs, show them how to market their work. I mean, talking about the Ngoni case, I mean, it's not only that the music failed to cut through, or not maybe cutting through, the business did not succeed because of all these financial burdens, but maybe there were also other factors that played
surrounding it that did not allow it.
Maybe there was
not
a good marketing team. You find some other businesses thriving, and of course they might have had to pull some strings, but at least they knew, they found their way. You know, we are in a country where things don't go just black and white. You really have to navigate, to be smart, to be resilient, to be strong, to be thoughtful and creative enough to manage to survive in this economy. So for me, I think first we need to invest in human capital at an individual level, and then at a general, national, local level. Government, private initiatives have to think around creative training places. How do we develop the capacities of young people that are into the creative business? And I think the second thing is also the regulatory frameworks. You know, when it comes to policies, when it comes to the environment that people are working in, it's not conducive. And I'm talking about the context in Uganda. The environment is not conducive. You find that, yes, we've been in lockdown and we all respect and want to keep everyone safe. But you cannot keep one industry locked and then you open the other.
Actually, on that note, I saw Moses Serugo posting a very sad picture of him at the National Theatre, saying after months of not being in the creative art industry, I come to National Theatre and it's gloom and doom. I missed what we used to do here. And it was a bit sad that some sector, like you've said, are still closed and others still open. Is it a question of not knowing the value of all of them?
I don't think it's so. I think it's planning. I mean, it's also for me one of my frustration. I don't normally get frustrated. But one of my
but it's okay to be frustrated. It's a fact of a human being.
But what I find very fascinating with folks, the peers that we work with at all levels, the government, is this ignoring things. I would say not knowing. They know, but they're just ignoring it. For example, if you want to help or to put forward a sector, it's not so difficult to have a conversation on what is best. I think there's nothing impossible. We've done great things. We've managed to break through bridges. We've managed to break through walls and barriers. So this is not so difficult. It's not rocket science to say National Theatre seats 372 people, full capacity. If you say everyone is going to sit one chair after the other, you can sit maybe 115 people.
And there will be still people making a living out of that.
So if an artist or a theatre group or a fashion designer or a filmmaker or has this 150 people or 115 people a month or a year, or everyone gets a chance to have an audience, then they can survive on that. They will be observing the SOPs, they will be making sure that they're presenting work and they're really helping. Because look at how many people Batvai was like hosting as a team, the core team of the theatre groups that were performing at Batvai, Bakaimbira, Afritalent, these young filmmakers, the John Segawas, all those, they are hundreds and hundreds. The technical team, the actors and actresses, they're all out of work.
We're actually talking about 1,000 of people living and hanging from that space.
But various seats, I don't know, more than 1,000 people. And it's open. It's not like, okay, well, you want to observe, you can open the doors. It's an open space. It can be open, though there will be fresh air. You can have half of that population. These groups will perform, will survive. So I think it's also looking at where are we and where do we need to help people to survive, to keep the industry alive. And when it comes to those investments like reforms, and when we talk about infrastructure, we don't only talk about infrastructure, but also structures where people can get systematic support, and not only financial, but also from policies and all these other things. So there has to be somewhere where people are there to get the first-hand help when it comes to the creative industry. And then the other thing is really investing in educational
part of the
exactly
of the creative
because
industry.
we need to learn, we need to keep ourselves updated, we need to keep ourselves up to speed, we need to level with the rest of the world, we need to find our content streaming, you know, how fast is the internet, how easy is it to access, how cheap is it to have, you know, all these things are contributing. So within our context, we really need to look at these three things: infrastructure, reforms, and human capital.
Yes. Faizo, I know you talk very passionately about this infrastructure development and investment. Would you just throw more light? What kind of infrastructure are we looking at here? When we say educational, to further the knowledge of the creative minds of the creative artists, what kind of investment are we looking for? Because we have certain schools here, like Uganda Film School. I think we have Kampala University doing the film school, with many of the kids have come out, the new kids on the blocks have come out from there. Kudos, by the way, those people. And we have Makerere, you know, Margaret Thatcher, yes.
That's for the visual
yes,
art.
yes, yeah, visual art, yes. And do we have any other performance art centers that we can look at? Are you looking at private or government?
Not
still?
Both. I think, you know, government plays its role. Of course, there are those industrial, institutional structures that government has put up at all universities. Yeah. Some universities are private, they have the courses, but also we have to look at private. And again, I say we don't have to look at government all the time to do us the favors. We can also do some of the things. The market is there. We have almost 80% of the young population, you know, and they're getting more. They might get to 90s till by the time we are out of COVID, you know, because the old people will be decreasing. Sorry, I mean, it's happening.
Yeah.
But where are all these people going to learn the skills? And we've seen that Africa is becoming the next big deal when it comes to the global economy. Yeah. When the young people in Africa, by 2050, we are going to be more than 500 million or 5 billion or whatever on the continent. Yeah. All these people will need to consume content. They will need to be fed. They will need to have entertainment and clothing. And I mean, when we talk about creative, we aren't only talking about music and film, but also fashion, visual arts, you know, paintings. We're talking about, you know, software development. We're talking about new inventions. We're talking about, you know, systems and spaces to work in. You know, these are all for creative works. So there is a need for more training facilities. The education options now are not very many. You have to really struggle, and then struggling also because of the belief that you know, art is not very relevant, but you have to struggle because also the schools are not enough to feed into or to take everyone that is needed. So we really have to think infrastructure, schools, education facilities, education programs. The reason why Kampala Film School has been successful the past 4 years because it had a good management team, and we will try to shift around the teaching of the young people and put programs that we are helping the young filmmakers, students who are there, to learn new skills, not only just holding a camera. But and I hope the new manager who is there now, my friend Kalundi, will also be doing the same to, you know, to strengthen that approach that the other colleague, the previous colleague, put up. So it's not only having institutions, but what are they offering in terms of content, in terms of training, in terms of exposure, in terms of other options. And when you talk about creative processes, someone will tell you, oh, film, they only show you how to switch on and off the camera. They show you how to balance the color, and but then they don't give you the whole, you know, process of you know, writing and access and all information and how do you make money, how do you so there is a
so
whole,
basically the holistic business approach to this whole thing to be successful.
It has to be part of the learning, or at least offered somewhere next to it. You know, so I think it's not only just building, having names or having walls, but also what is shared and presented and given or taught within those walls is also very, very important. And that comes back to who is making the investment, who is interested, how is it regulated, how is it possible, where can one go, how can they learn, how can they be motivated? Because there's also that issue of people being motivated. Why should I start an art school when everyone thinks art is not good?
Interestingly, Faizo, just before we go for our third break, of course our time is running fast. Interestingly, we'll have to come back after the break and talk about this whole notion of that the art is not very lucrative as a business, but the whole of the world, the universe, depend on art. I mean, you go to the buildings we live in, is actually art. I mean, the medical that we use for illustration is art. If you look at all of this, really art is a very big industry. It's part of our life, is essential. I think it's just been a question of less is understood about the art industry and the creative industry. Because if you look at all these spheres and all the spheres of life, art is at the core of it. And it fits in the house we live in, the car we drive, the clothes we wear, the schools we go to, the design of the courses we have to, whether it's science, it's art behind it. Yes, so we are talking about investment in the creative art industry with Faizo Chiwewa, the founder and the CEO of Bayimba Foundation. And of course, we would like to know what your comments are. Send your kisses and disses to Faizo. Faizo is here to answer a couple of your questions if you have any. And this discussion is very key to all of us. We're taking a break for a coffee break, and when we come back, Faizo will be answering the question number 3 as we close the show, which is who is responsible for whatever investment that we're talking about in the art industry, and how can you as a private player actually be part of this investment. But also, is art really understood all across the globe, that the art or the creative mind controls many things that we are happy about in life? Stay right there, we'll be right back after the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk.
We play 2 styles. We play reggae vibes, and we also have our own music style, which we call boot jazz. It's a mixture of African rhythm and jazz.
Just speaking English cause I just won't understand the same. Speaking my language so that I understand it. I went to school and I learned everything in English. It was so difficult for me to understand, wasn't my language. Oh, mama told me my son went to go to school for a better future.
So what's your experience in 2011 Bayimba concert?
Wow, frankly I have to say this is one of the best events that as a Malawian band has joined and has also participated. We have international festivals, yes, but this one is one of the best in this year, 2011.
It's a fantastic festival because this time around it's got more artists of different genres, and also like for example having Sebata here after I've just played like blues and funk and that kind of thing, and there's hip hop, there's a whole hip hop stage this time around, and mixed wild music, you know, it's a whole mixing pot, and also with the other arts that are going on, you know, the souls around.
And to all you ladies out there, Neon Gorgeous, listen.
Nimeondoka sasa ni siku mingi.
XXL. XXL.
XXL.
XXL. XXL. Season 2.
Era wendi ate nkyaliwo nnyo.
Booyah!
Why do we need investment in the creative art industry? If you've been following the conversation, Faisal talked about it, that everything rises and falls on art and creativity. If we don't have creativity, our economy cannot, because we can't sell, because we can't package, and that we cannot also come up with good products if our creative industry is weak, because products that are not packaged cannot be sold anywhere in the world, because people will not have a lot more information. So communication for that product is very key, and that's reason number one why we need to invest into our creative art industry. And we've talked about, given our context, which areas of investment and who should invest and when and how. Faisal have tackled that as well. We're now going to our question number 3 that actually ends the show today, which is the question of who is responsible for the investment, Faisal, in our...
Yeah.
When we're talking about investment, who do you think should be responsible for the investment?
I think we are all responsible.
Yeah.
And but we have to first understand, why are we all responsible? I was talking with a friend of mine, Bjorn, this morning, and he was telling me, you know, Africa is the new East. And that means that there's a lot of interest in this continent, the creative content. And when we look around and you see, of course, the government takes the first part because they set the pace. And they set the pace for everyone, the individuals, the practitioners, the private sector. So we need to first look at government. What priorities when it comes to the creative industry has government put in place, or thinking, or should put in place?
Yeah.
I think the government needs to play a role here in not only just putting policies, but also making sure that they are implemented, because we have very good cultural policy, and it's still it struggles to be even understood by the people who are responsible for implementing it.
Yeah.
So the government's responsibility is very, very clear, and that's at all levels, you know, at all levels of national, regional, within our own East, West, South, Uganda, but also the local governments. Local governments also have to stand. We're having a conversation with Jennifer before she left office, and we were like, why isn't the Kampala Capital City Authority structure, plans and regulations involve at least a 10% or 1% or 3% inclusion of art within every building? All these big buildings that are popping up, they should have at least some public art somewhere included in the design, because that gives some new life to the city, but as well as employing a certain generation or a group of people who are doing that kind of work. So regulatories from local authorities to government is very, very important, and they should be guiding us in terms of where do we need to invest, how should we invest, whom should we invest in. So this is one. Then we have the practitioners, you and I, you know, we who are doing this work. We are investing already. You have invested a lot in this whole setup, and we have invested a lot in as Baimba, and we need to continue investing, because the need is there, the opportunities to support more people are there, and then we have also the private sector. The private sector needs to think, as we talked earlier on, they need also to think where is going to come from the next generation of creative designers, creative entrepreneurs that are going to help their businesses survive. Because sometimes they think learning marketing at Harvard is the only thing you need to run Coca-Cola. No, you need a whole creative team, scientists, inventors, and whatever, and the new, the new creative workforce needs to be thought through. How can private sector also support strategically, not just supporting one of those that they like, and also thinking, because for me here it could also be interesting if the government had put up some sort of like a regulatory framework or an assisting structure whereby private sector could be cultivated to come up with a basket pool of funds and say, okay, Coca-Cola, give us 20 million a year, Pepsi, give us 10, MTN, give us 50. And then at the end of the year, you have 100 million that a pool is there that is going to go into supporting creative processes. So this could be something that they could think of. And then also, the last, we have the audiences, being mindful. The consumers are very
output of
exactly.
the creative art industry.
They are very, very fundamental into this whole process, whereby they also have to think how much are they contributing, how are they supportive of the content that they consume, and how are they also helping in this fight of protecting the content of the artist so that it's not pirated every day.
Okay, fine. So we have our time is fast spent, but we have a typical example here, and I think that I'll take a moment to read you some of the questions that have come here. First of all, I'd like to appreciate people like Esther Semakola Nab, who is watching. Thank you very much, Esther, for that. And Murai Murugand, who is also watching. Thank you very much, guys. And somebody said, this is really a very interesting topic, and I think we need to have a lot more conversation about the creative art industry. You look at the way our things are packaged in Uganda. Sometimes the product is good, but the packaging of the product drives people away from that, which is what you're talking about. Faisal, let's tackle very briefly the idea of packaging. We're talking about the investment in the industry. NASA Road, for example, has invested heavily in these things. And while they're also accused of being the biggest pirators of some of the content that are produced by the creative art industry, the production of things that come from there and the branding and the packaging is quite not understood by many. How can we help those who are producing product to understand that, one, if you have a product called coffee or X, needs to be communicated about, and that communication comes from the person who write the copy of that product, the information, product information put together in not a very boring way. That comes from an artist, right? And the packaging is designed by somebody who sit down, think through the process and come with it. For example, this cup here that we are having on a show, by the way, I need to serve you some coffee, comes from the product of an artist. And if this cup is plain, this person, it's not going to make sense to me, but I look at this creative art industry and I'm drinking coffee. I feel creative enough and I feel happy enough. How can we help the people who don't understand this to understand better?
I think when we take the example of NASA Road, first of all, you look at how many people work at NASA Road. You find everyone has, even if it's just a desk, they are there, they are struggling.
They're putting their books together,
whether they're only selling pens and stuff like that. But what is the problem with NASA Road? I don't think they have a problem. I think they are supportive of a very huge economy. I can tell you there are so many people who can't afford to go to print their stuff at Nakasero or Kisementi here, but they can only afford, because they need to move to a next step, and they can only afford to go to NASA. And what I look at NASA is that it's not that they are not good or they are pirating, but it's also the way they are regulated. I don't think there's any regulation around what the work they are doing, because if there was, then they could also be doing better, because they could have time, they could have a nice infrastructure. You look at that whole place, it's like one long building where everyone needs to find a table, a space, and then everything else is done, by others behind that wall. So I think it's also the way, if I was a city planner and I'm like, I'm looking at NASA Road, I would be thinking, how do I help these people? First of all, to have more space, because it's not healthy the way they work. They are sitting next to each, they are printing all the color, the chemicals,
where everything is just
so
really
you might find, if they do
place,
a cancer research at NASA Road, you find that many people are getting health problems because of all that printing. But because they are not regulated, they are not given an opportunity. No one is thinking about them, but they also blame them.
But the amount of taxes we collect from them is great.
So that's what I'm saying, that they contribute a lot to the economy. And I can also tell you, like, how much money do I pay at Bayimba for every month on taxes? Up to almost like 6 million if you put all the taxes together. So if we had at least maybe 6-7 Bayimbas in every city, in Gulu, in North, in where, how much money would be coming in? You know, so we need to start thinking of like, how do we, because for me, what I find with the regulatory frameworks is they always looking out for, I don't know, like, how do they call it?
We come at the tail end of...
no, they always want to control you. They they don't want to help you, but then they want to earn from you. And I think it's really wrong. Or either they want to shut you down, but they put all these things without thinking, what do you need? What do you go through as a person? What does someone at Nasa Road go through to earn a living and still pay those taxes? And then you find him on the road and you kick him off because you have an escort car. So this thought is really, and people are working their health off, and then they are paying all these taxes because there is no excuse to pay those taxes. But you're not investing in them. There's no way they can grow.
There's been a huge debate about whenever a sector begins to blossom and to start to make money and to see, we look at them from in terms of money, taxes. And then everyone is always asking, but what are we doing to help these young people? What are we doing to help these people? Have we invested money in this area to allow these people to reap, for us to reap from here or to further their development from there? I want you to close with that. How can we better make the authority, for the people in position of leadership, understand that it's important before you milk a cow, you need to feed that cow?
It's very simple. Whatever regulation they put up, they should look at it like how much are they adding into
the value
of that person. If you're asking me for $50, as a tax addition to my whatever work I'm presenting, or URA, whatever it is, how much are you putting into my work? How much are you helping my area? Because you cannot say you're taxing the creative industries each year in and out, and you don't have any plan to develop that industry.
Any budget of investment.
But you need your money and you get it. But you say, okay, by our priorities are roads, but where does the money come from? Where does that money come from? I think it's important, even if just say, just say, out of the money we create from disco shows, radio stations and whatever, all the taxes we pay from NGOs, organizations and concerts, let's put 10% of that money back into that industry. You will see a difference. It will be a very big difference, and strategically, carefully invest that money in the needs that will make you more money. If we have more organizations like Bayimba, if we have more concert halls, if we have more theater groups, if we have more DJs and producers and filmmakers and fashion designers, all that will increase our tax base. It's very simple mathematics. So they have to think, as they are milking the industry, how much are they investing into it? Otherwise, we are going to run dry, and many of us, we've been hit by COVID. There are many people who are so broke, yet the taxes don't stop. You have to pay them every month. So how are they going to survive if they're not being supported? If they're not given a conducive environment? If no one is thinking about them and making sure that they are also thought for as part of this economy? So as you asked, I think the closing for me would be like, yes, the government has to do its job. We have to do our job. We do our job, actually. We have to do our job more. And also, the private sector needs to do their job. They need to start thinking, if we need the next better billboard, and for me, I saw a Tusker Light billboard when I was coming here at Acacia. And I looked at the face of it. I've seen it many times. But I was thinking, this is not a Ugandan face. Why is the Tusker Light advert billboard in Kampala done by South African?
And why locally here? And
why doesn't UBL invest in creative people here, so that they have to do those Tusker billboards for them.
Maybe the creative people here are the one going for the new
but what are they? What are they contributing to change that narrative? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Do they think, like, do you think that me seeing a billboard of Messi or Ronaldo, who are these footballers,
would drive me very much?
Exactly. Well, I'll be like excited. There are people here. There are Eddie, there's Chameleon, there is Bebe Cool, there is Kenneth Mugabe. There are all these great artists whom the country needs to know, because all those famous sports people you put, they are already known. They have all the money.
We don't have
you need to uplift
on as a
exactly.
You
need to uplift your own people. You need to uplift your own industry and invest in. So you cannot earn from what you don't invest in. So they need to start thinking as private sector, what contribution are they making? It's not only supporting a concert at Cricket Oval and then you think, oh, we are putting it in a lot of money, 100 million. Do you know what you can do with 100 million? If you put it in a very structured way and put it into an industry that is going, you can do a lot.
And so give you a lot more reward as well.
We have to think along together, have an holistic view on how the industry is running and see what others have done. There's a lot of research that we can benchmark on. So I think it's not really about one in industry, one sector, one government. No, we all as a people need to be thoughtful of how we invest in this creative industry.
Well, we have come to the end of the show right there. You've heard it from Faisal. We're talking about how to invest into our creative art industry, and investment in the creative art industry is very important. It will help us improve the quality of packaging of our product going outside. It will help us to have product identity which are quite very clear, so that our neighbors don't buy our products and go and rebrand it and give it their own cool name, because the quality of the product is good but the communication around the product is not very good. And so this is something very important. We've been talking about the creative art industry in Uganda and investment. If you've heard it from Faisal, unfortunately, we've got to bring the show to a close. Until next week, we will be able to show you. By the way, before we go, Faisal, what are we talking about next week? Somebody's asking, can we talk about the packaging and identity of our products going forward, and how the creative minds play a big role? What do you want us to talk about next week?
I don't know. I think I was, we can. We can talk about that. Let's try to think and formulate it, and then we can communicate to them later.
Yes. All right. Good. So we've come to the end of the show. This has been the Creative Industry Talk, talking about investment in the creative art industry, private sector, government, every one of us consumers of the creative art products needs to come together and think and put together a way forward that is beneficial to everyone. We've asked you 3 questions. If you want to follow the discussion, of course, online, and you can continue to send us your kisses and this is coming. Why do we need investment in the creative art industry? That's a question number 1 that Faisal answered. And question number 2 was about, given our context, which area of investment are or should we prioritize as the people of Uganda? And of course, number 3, who is responsible for our investment going forward? Until then, ladies and gentlemen,